on TeaTime, I deliberately bring up things that I know people are going to disagree with. Okay? I deliberately say things that are hyperbolic, a little bit over the top, maybe even things, well, a lot of these things I don't even necessarily think should happen. I'm not saying that this stuff should happen, guys. Okay? In the game. But I do not have any interest in making like a circle jerk, right, for the Guild Wars 2 community. I actively want disruption, and I actively want conflict. And I feel like I actually have to underline this. I almost want to make a bit of a separate video talking about this, actually, about this podcast. I am not here to affirm what I already think, and I'm not here to affirm what you already think. Okay? In fact, quite the opposite. I want this to be a nice, cozy listen, obviously, but I want it to be a challenge as well. I want you to think, right? I want the viewers on Twitch to think, and I want the listeners on YouTube to think. Because, in my opinion, what is the point in having a conversation if it's not going to give you some food for thought? Welcome to the latest tea time of all time. Cat is fully enabled. The goose is loose. And Brazil is here as well. Okay, so we've got a wide variety of different animals. Okay, and even a country here as well to join us. Talk about some Guild Wars 2. And, a few people may be expecting this, but seriously, guys, welcome to the Guild Wars 2 Copium stream, where we're going to try and pretend that 2021 wasn't any more than the horrific, desolate content void than it really was. So, welcome, everyone. We will discuss a few things here today, what happened, and of course, what will be happening in 2022. But yeah, get your copium ready, because you're definitely going to need it when we talk about this stuff. But anyway, welcome to the show, Pang, Sneb, and of course, Brazil here as well. Okay, welcome, my friends. How are you all doing on this fine time? Sneb, he's flexing. He's like ready to go. He's prepared. Yeah. He's ready to bring the hammer down.
I'm just trying to shake off all the frost. It was negative 55 degrees here, Celsius, by the way.
What?
It was negative 55 with the wind chill. I lived in one of the 10 coldest places on Earth the other day. I took my dog out to take a pee, and he looked back at me, and he was like, "No, not going."
Wait,
and he came back inside.
Do you live in northern Canada?
No, it's just I live on the prairies, and it's just really, really cold, and it gets really windy here. The wind was 110 kilometers an hour last night. I woke up with a headache. It was bad. I live in hell. Yes.
Well, no, that's the direct opposite of hell.
I don't know, because at some point it gets so cold that it burns. You know what I mean? It was really bad. You couldn't go outside without the hydration on your eyes freezing.
So a little bit like Icebrood Saga.
Yeah. Oh, I like that segue. Yes. Because funnily enough, that is actually the first thing that happened in 2021 for Guild Wars 2. A few things, kind of table of contents here. Icebrood Saga, ArenaNet,
hold on.
Legendary Armory, right? World vs. World Test DX11. But of course, first is going to be the Icebrood Saga. Brazil, Unleash.
Was Champions Chapter 3 the last Icebrood Saga?
No, Chapter 4 was. That was Dragonstorm. Yeah, so Chapter 3 was, I believe that came out in February, I think, and then Dragonstorm came out in April, and that was the end of the Icebrood Saga.
Okay,
so that was two sections of it.
It's been almost 300 days since Chapter 3.
That's correct.
So it's been almost kind of a year since Chapter 4.
Yeah. So for some perspective, I believe it's been almost to the day 250 days since the last new content update in the game, right? That was a piece of story. There have been other updates, obviously, that we'll get into a little bit later, but it's been a bit of a low moment, I would say, for the game in terms of the overall content there. And The Icebrood Saga, it was pretty controversial, right? You know, we're kind of treading over some old ground here, of course, but the Icebrood Saga, the way it ended, didn't really make people very happy. It prompted a few people to say, you know, the Elder Dragons don't matter, as they just killed 2 villains off in one go, right? You know, get rid of that, we're moving on, so that ArenaNet could go and develop an expansion, pretty much. But you know what? This is where the copium kicks in, guys, okay? There were definitely a few things that ArenaNet was experimenting with, specifically around replayability and stuff like the squad instances, right? So stuff like Dragon's Home, right? Which then also got reused in the Marionette down the line. Squad instancing certainly does bring some interesting ideas to the table when it comes to replayability. So, I don't know. I think the Icebrood Saga really actually had a bit of a bad rap overall. You know, I go into this a lot. I talked about this on my YouTube video. People just told me I was wrong, okay, but I love it. I enjoy it, so I always come back for more on this. But there was a lot of good gameplay elements of the Icebrood Saga, I think, that are hopefully going to be carried over. Because, look, I know you guys want to see some Dragon Response missions, okay? Look, I know that, like, the real content you guys want, you don't want raids. You don't want fractals or strike missions. You want some good old DRM gaming, right? Like, to come out with Ender Dragons and go big. That's going to be fantastic. But yeah, what do you guys think about the Icebrood Saga, right? And, you know, the way that all went down.
I think DRMs were the angriest I'd ever been at the game.
Ooh.
I actually, like,
Ooh.
I don't usually get, like, super emotionally invested in a lot of this stuff, but, like, I was, like, really excited for some new sort of instance content, right? And then when DRMs came out and I tried them and they were just super buggy. And then at the beginning when you had to wait the whole time before you could continue, right? They fixed that later. I was so mad. I was like, holy crap, we've had nothing for so long and now we get this and it's not even good. Like, and it's not even finished. Like it didn't feel like it was done. And I was wicked mad. I just was just like, holy crap, like what's going on? And then later we figure out there's the expansion and whatever. But yeah, DRMs were a rough go for me. I did not enjoy them at all. I predicted that people would stop playing them entirely as soon as the achievements and crap were gone, and I was right. Nobody plays them at all anymore, which is unfortunate because they did fix a lot, right? And I actually think what's odd about this is that I actually think that the way that they're designed is pretty good. My qualm was that it's just like button mashing for a lot of it, right? There's like a lot of role play that you can't skip, and then there's a lot of just trash mobs. I actually think that if they keep that sort of platform where the story is kind of intertwined with, we'll call it a dungeon, even though it's not really a dungeon, that's a good thing. I actually liked that because it makes it's like reusing assets and stuff. But just to have all of these mobs that you just instantly kill, and then at the end, the challenge modes weren't even really that challenging. I think that's what actually ticked me off the most. I went in and I was like, oh, challenge mode, this is gonna be like difficult content. And all it did was like give boons to the mobs and make it so there was a timer. And I went in blind with some friends, and we cleared it all on the first try with a standard fractal composition. And I had trouble with that. I thought that was not good because that to me means it's not really much of a challenge, but it's probably a challenge for many, right? For me, it wasn't a challenge, but
yeah, I mean, people had trouble with Snowden drifts a lot. Like the Ryland one.
To be fair, the time on that one is actually pretty tight. Because of what you have to do. And so if you don't bring like super speed, that one was actually, the time is a pretty reasonable challenge. But all the other ones I thought were pretty fair. Like really, really easy to get if you just bring like a standard comp. If you don't bring a standard comp, they would actually be pretty challenging.
Yeah, I think there are some pretty interesting ideas in Dragon Response missions. I think the key points are that, as you said, they were very unrefined, right? Pretty unfinished, not exactly polished to the standard that we were expecting. The challenge mode was like very tactile. Where I was like, okay, right, we're just gonna like, bleh, there you go, have a challenge mode. There it is, enjoy. Although there is one thing you said there actually that I think is true, but not for the reason that you kind of implied. You said that, as soon as people are done with the achievements, people are going to stop playing them. I actually don't think that's because of DRMs, though. I think it's just because the reward system was not very compelling, to be honest. It was a bit confusing and over-elaborate, and also just not that good.
Same thing with strikes, right? That's why strikes aren't as popular.
Yeah.
If you make it like really convoluted, people are just like, this is too hard to figure out, and they just go do something else.
Exactly, right. And well, it's kind of the problem with the way people interact with Guild Wars 2 in general. People aren't going to do something if it doesn't give them a good amount of gold per hour, pretty much. That's why so many people stay in open world, right? This is a problem I'm sure you've had, Sneb, to go like, why would I ever raid when I can stay in open world and get 20 gold an hour? I get like 1 gold an hour in raids, but 0 gold. I feed. I die to Veil Guardian trash for 3 hours, get nothing compared to that. So that's the issue there, I think. But like, mark my words, chat. You have not seen the last of Dragon response missions. They won't be called that, but I actually do think that a lot of the things in the Icebrood Saga are actually going to be back, right? I think ArenaNet took this year, and this is going to be something you're going to hear me repeating a lot during this stream, I think, is that the Icebrood Saga and the rest of 2021 was like the experimentation year. Like ArenaNet was like, you know what? Fuck it. Okay, we can't make any content. Let's get a few devs who aren't working on the expansion to just randomly try some shit in the game and see if people like it and see how it works. I'm not even joking. I think that is actually what happened, right? At Arena. And by the way, I think that's a good thing. I'm not roasting them there. I actually think that's a really good idea, to be fair. Like when you've got a little bit of downtime, might as well have a little bit of fun and experiment a little bit, see what's going to happen. But that is definitely what they did with Dragon response missions, I think. And well, with champions in general, Icebrood Saga champions, kind of breaking it up into little bits of content without even open world maps, kind of going back to old maps, changing the lighting, changing the graphics, right? Adding new enemies, adding a story to these old maps. I would not be surprised whatsoever to see that kind of technology cropping up, again, like in the future in the expansion.
I think DRMs would be. I think the enjoyment would improve probably 30% if you didn't have to do the shitty pre-event every single time. It's like Doom, or Zera. You get a group that just gets trolled on the pre-event because 2 people are AFK because they don't care. They just want to get on with the content. It's painful. It's just painful to do the pre-events. And dungeons that got brought up, and Grimjack is in the chat too. If you haven't seen the Raw Path 3 record lately, routing is a really important part of this game. Routing and moving past mobs and dealing with mobs in different ways. There's none of that in DRMs. DRMs is run on a linear path to the champion at the end, and you just kill it. And you slap a bunch of mobs along the way, stealthing past them. I don't think that matters. You can't even... I don't even know if you can stealth or super speed the escort NPCs, if that's the one you roll. In the pre-event, it's just, you just slap mobs. It's not like you can do anything to speed that up. They put the worst part of dungeons into, a mini bite-sized dungeon, and they said, here you go. Do this. Except for the Ryland fight. The Ryland fight is just absolute chaos, and it's okay. And I guess the Bram story, I'll actually give them credit for this one, for story content. Bram's story progression in the Snowden Drifts DRM is actually really good. It's actually good. They throw it all away after that. But, yeah. Just get rid of the pre-events, and it would immediately make them better. People might want to do them.
I kind of agree with that. The pre-events are just basically regular quests and MMOs, right? Go here, take object A here, find person, bring them here. They're just they're so against the mantra of what Guild Wars 2 is already, right? I thought we were supposed to eliminate those quests by having dynamic events and stuff. But they just basically throw the worst dynamic events that they have and put them as a pre-event that isn't really that meaningful. It's supposed to give you a buff to do them all, but it's not hard to do them all, right? It's just a task. I don't know. It's just some kind of annoying task that you do at the beginning of the actual thing. And I don't know. It's not the kind of content I like. I actually don't mind the escorts too much. I think some of them can be interesting because you have to speed up the NPC. And I think that's kind of cool. Like you suggested, the routing is important, right? Not my favorite. I much prefer just the boss fight because I'm into raids and strikes and whatever. But hey, I can respect that. And the bosses I found like a little bit lackluster, not a ton of mechanics. But yeah, the pre-events just make it unnecessarily long for what the rewards are too, and they just don't feel impactful.
Well, there's some good news on that front though, because
There won't ever be anymore.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna bring the positivity. I'm gonna hit the copium hard. After Pang expresses his mind about this topic.
About DRMs, I don't know. The last time I did a DRM was at the beginning of the year, actually, when they first came out. But then that was it. Like, I think pretty much with everyone's opinion, like DRMs are not basically the content that most raiders are looking for. It's actually because I do play with a variety of different people, like more casual players as well, and DRMs are actually fun for them, or actually engaging for them. Because they're more casual, like they don't bring a fractal T4 comp or a CM comp in there as well. So it's a lot more engaging once you don't have like quickness, Aegis stability, like all those boons that you kind of expect to have in fractals, and well, at least in like CMs and T4s and raids even. So it's it is actually somewhat engaging for them. But it's also not the kind of content that I'm looking for as well. I don't even know what I'm looking for in the game anymore, to be honest. Because I've played this game for like way too long, and even on stream, it's like I'm like, oh, I don't even know what I'm going to be doing today, and then I get roped into doing like some more raids, some more CMs, and all that other stuff. So I don't know. I don't even know.
Wow.
I'm just waiting for
He's
End
lost.
of Dragons, man.
Yeah.
I'm lost.
2021. He's been a rudderless ship, just into the blue yonder. Unfortunately.
I mean, I had to get to the point where I had to start doing raid CM giveaways, like like doing a 9-man Doom CMs. That was entertaining for a little while, but that comes to an end after some point. But yeah, like DRMs, I think like the system is good, but the presentation of them is bad. To be honest,
Agreed.
Well, that's the good news.
Yeah,
because I think the test worked, right?
Well, no, I was going to say that one thing that was really interesting about Icebrood Saga and 2021 in general, and my carefully laid plan of going through point by point of what happened has completely failed at this point. And you know what? I'm actually abandoning it. I'm abandoning my podcast plan, guys. I'm done. We're going to be very open in general now. Actually, we're going to completely open it up now. I don't care anymore. That didn't take long, like 10 minutes or so. That's good. So
that's a wrap.
Something that I think happened in 2021 that was really important and really interesting is that I think ArenaNet changed, right? Their philosophy on game development changed a lot. The game didn't, okay? Now, fuck all's happened in the game, okay? Well, that's not strictly true, actually. We have had a few things. Okay, that's a little unfair there, but ArenaNet changed their philosophy a lot, right? They changed from this slow, cumbersome beast that just did the exact same thing every 3 months, basically, like spat out a living world map that didn't really have that much going on for it, right? And it's like, oh, okay, right, okay. And they changed into something that a little bit more agile, right? A little bit more responsive to what the community was saying. We saw a lot more communication happening. We saw them try out a few new things, and more importantly, we saw them iterate, right? Because if you actually look at the first Dragon Response missions they released compared to the last Dragon Response mission they released, yeah, they are very different. You can clearly see that. Was it perfect? No, but they tried to look at some of the things that people didn't like about them and actually improve those specific areas, right? Like, they tried to make stuff more replayable, right? They did these betas, right? These beta tests for the elite specializations that came out, and they looked at these things and boom, they hit it hard. Honestly, they actually really tried to address a lot of the issues. We've had streams with the developers, right? Giving us insights on like how beautiful all the rocks are in the Jade Sea, and even some balanced insights with CMC and talking about alliances with Ray and Grouch, stuff like that. Yeah, the ArenaNet in 2021, I've got to say, is pretty unrecognizable to to a lot of the pre-2021 era of ArenaNet, and I think iteration is going to be a big part of that. I would certainly expect to see a lot of these ideas really get refined and also change. Like, this is the key. ArenaNet has this problem. Like, this is not some kind of new like meme or anything like that. Like, ArenaNet will drop something in the game and say, right, it's done. That's it. Enjoy it, right? We will now never change that thing ever again. Like, this has always been the issue with this company, is that they'll go, you know what? It's not working very well because we didn't fix any of the problems. Well, time to make something new, right? And that's why we have strike missions, which, to be fair, might end up working quite well. But I do think that there is actually a lot of positive development in the game design and game development philosophy from ArenaNet that happened in 2021. That hopefully is going to be a big payoff in 2022 gamers, okay? Thought there's replayable strike missions. Oh, it's going to be so good. Challenge mode, difficulty settings, okay? Like ArenaNet, they don't want to split the player base. Now they're going to split the player base big time with strike missions. It's going to be toxic. There's going to be kill proof. Well, actually,
I hope so.
That's a random thought, but what if they actually might like deliberately not make kill proof for the strike missions because like of how much of a clusterfuck raids are. But wait, if they don't, then people are just going to use raid KP, right? So it doesn't matter what.
Yeah, they'll use raid KP and skin boner tokens.
What is the logic behind not introducing a system that allows people to see experience? In every other facet of life, you have that in one way or another. It is ridiculous. It's a ridiculous notion to not just include it because people will find a way. But the problem is that when people find a way, their way is not as good as an official way. And
ooh, are you sure about that?
Well, most of the time, right? Is KP a good measure of skill? No, it's really not. Not at all. It's RNG based. It's a little token you get from killing a boss. It's time gated.
Could have bought it.
Doesn't show how many times, right? Like it's not actually a good function. They could just put some kind of system in there on their own, and I've suggested a million things. So I don't know why they wouldn't just do it. It's the same reason why I think gear check needs to just be in the game. People are gonna be wicked toxic without gear check anyway, and they're gonna find a way to kick you. What's worse, not having gear check and people trying to force you to ping your armor and stuff, and then you getting kicked after waiting like 5 minutes for the person to ping their armor, or or just having gear check and somebody being like, hey, you don't have the right gear. Like, people are going to find a way to do it one way or the other.
Well, here's the thing. People did already find a way to do gear check. And, oh, shit, someone just gifted a shitload of subs. You should probably acknowledge that. That's like 20 subs.
Hero of Time Ken comes in clutch, disrupting the podcast again. Okay, like, what is he doing? It's getting even worse by the moment. Okay, but hey, thanks, man. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Sponsored by Hero of Time Ken.
Well, so gear check, if you know where to crawl into the deep dark hell of the internet, which it might go away as soon as the bots and all. Have the bots gone away yet? I don't know if that already happened.
They're going to be expiring pretty soon.
Maybe that's when gear check expires too. But people made it because people wanted it, so you can get it if you want it enough. Like, you can figure out where it is. But the other thing is that it would just immediately help resolve problems, because if you look at someone, like I was playing in a raid the other day with some friends, and we had a dragon hunter that was doing 3.5k DPS on Gorseval. And we're like, have you ever done this content before? We just asked them. They said yes. Like, they said they had done the content, and they said they were playing DPS. And something was clearly not right. It wasn't adding up. If we had gear check, we could have known what gear they had, and the gear ended up being the problem. We would have just immediately known. Like, or if you had, I guess you have logs, or you can see people's rotations after the fact, and you can actually use that to deduce. But that's an after the fact thing. But I don't know. It would just be, at this point, everybody's already toxic in raids anyways. Just give us a tool to use to, like, that we could do good with. It'll get used for bad, obviously. Like, our DPS already is, but just give us a tool. Let us do something with it.
Okay, this is a fascinating topic, actually, because this is one part of ArenaNet's philosophy that I don't think comes up that much. And, oh man, I want to know, I definitely want to know you. I want the chat to actually weigh in on this. So I want everyone to weigh on this. ArenaNet would rather okay, so the way they look at this is that they want to prevent negative interactions at all costs. You can see this in the entire game, right? It's why that, you know, to quote the potato, right? People always say, you know, Guild Wars 2 is playing alone together, right? And ArenaNet's philosophy is that we would rather have no interaction with other players than a negative one even being possible, right? That might sound hyperbolic, but I promise you it is not, right? But I want to be clear. I'm not even saying this is wrong. I'm just describing the way ArenaNet has designed their game. Okay. Oh, excuse me. Goodness me. Frog. Okay. Pepe crawling out of my throat there. But don't tell anyone about that one. Okay. Oh no! And yeah, this TeaTime is like terminally destroyed now at this point.
You know what? I have something else to add to that. I would say that it could actually gear check could in fact be a positive thing for ArenaNet themselves, because you know why? When you gear check someone, you can see what skin they have on their armor. And what if they hyperlinked it? If someone has a gem store skin, they hyperlink it to the gem store and it opens it up and it says buy more gems, or they hyperlink it to the trading post or whatever. Like you add this whole facet where people are like, oh shit, I can have gear check. I don't have to go to Reddit to see what skins people are using, and I can just click and go straight to the trading post, straight to the gem store. I can just buy them. Easy money, free money, ain't it?
Free money.
Yeah, but to kind of finish that thought though, right? Like the way they designed the game, right? You know, open world, not really requiring any kind of coordination, right? You know, the story being very, very easy and totally soloable. Most things in the game being soloable. You don't really need to interact with other players for most areas of the game, right? Like this is a pretty key thing, you know, like guild functionality not being like very heavily incentivized, group content being basically everything being optional. Now, these are all good things. I like things being very, you know, optional, right? And you know, you can do whatever you want in the game. That's really good. But I do think there is this slightly negative edge to this where ArenaNet will kind of refuse to fix a problem in the game because it will necessitate negative interactions happening, right? They've actually kind of relented on this. For example, now there actually is public rating in PvP. That wasn't the case for a very long time, right? Doubtlessly, again, because of this philosophy, right? That, you know, you can't do that. It's not okay, because then you can say, ha, you're trash, you're gold. And, you know, in a way, like they still have this. It's actually very difficult to kind of check everyone's rating the way this is works. You can't like, you know, you have to like friend people to see it. It's a bit awkward to actually check rating. So I think that kind of went into that there as well. But this is really the case of stuff like gear check and kill proof. Even though I completely agree with Sneb, right? Is that the players are going to do it no matter what. ArenaNet won't do an official thing because that isn't within the current philosophy for the game, like the vision of the game they have, even though it arguably makes the game more toxic than adding an official system, right? They won't do it because, again, they are fundamentally opposed to the idea of facilitating negative interactions directly because of their game design, which I guess is quite ironic, seeing as it kind of is like an indirect consequence of the way they've designed the game. It gets very, very toxic, but it seems to me that they would prefer that, right, than the alternative. I don't know. Like, what do you guys think about that? I'm leaving that one open. Okay, I want get in there. It's way
more talk. Look, if you put gear check in the game, this would save me so much time, because this is what happens. Every stream, people are like, is this training? Is this training? Are you going to train? And I go, yeah, like anybody can join unless I say otherwise, because there are times when I'm like, nah, this time I'm just going to do an experience run and then I'll like explain, so watch it and you'll like learn something. Every other time it's like anybody can jump in, let's do this thing. The problem is that I have to say, if you don't know the fight, you must tell me, and you must have a raid build, and you must have gear that with relevant stats to that build. But there's no way for me to know
to
that.
Verify that.
Yeah, there's no way for me to know. So I go in, we waste a bunch of time because they're doing arguably nothing, right? Like they're just really inefficient. And I have to be like, do you have this stat, this stat, this stat, this stat, this stat on all of your armor? And this rune and these sigils, and I always find out that they don't, right? It's just such a waste of time. Gear check would actually enable me to help people better. And so it's frustrating because there are people that would definitely use it for evil, so to speak, right? They would exclude people because they were in exotic armor or whatever. But they do that anyway. Right? It just takes an extra step. They go in, they find out somebody's doing nothing, they kick them. Might as well just break up the gap, right? Just if somebody comes in and they don't have what is expected, then they're out. Like I don't see how there's any difference other than disrespecting everyone's time.
Yeah. And it also makes people not trust each other as well, because you have no way to tell someone's lying, right? You know, even if you know, you say, hey, ping your armor, right? Like ping an armor piece or whatever. You can still very easily fake that, right? With a chat code. And there's no way, you literally cannot tell if this person is telling the truth. The only thing you could do is like force them to link their efficiency page, like their API. So you like gear check them that way. But that's just not going to happen, right? There's just no way it's going to happen.
Wait. There's actually a legal way to do that then. Like an actual legal way.
Yeah, there is.
You could have an Arc DPS add-on that pulls the API like for that person. And like the the KP.me one, if you're logged up for it, like if you're signed up for it, it will automatically pull your account whenever you join the squad and you can look at it.
Yeah.
So we could
just kick anyone that doesn't have an external add-on to the game. Nice.
No, you just say, "Hey, can you download this? We require it for this group." Since everything else
Let's be real. You don't have the thing. You're done.
It would happen. But here's the other problem: is that when you say, "Hey, ping armor," they ping the one piece of armor they have that makes sense. That's like an ascended piece that they got from Fractal with like a rune that's kind of okay, like an eagle rune, and then the rest of their gear is like all green, blue, and exotic and rare that all has different runes in it because they don't know how runes work. And their trinkets are all just random too. So you're under the impression that because they pinged one piece of armor, that maybe it's their rotation that's the problem. But like you have to have them ping literally everything. Well, there are so many screenshots floating around of people with just random shit.
The thing is, like, we've got to talk about Sneb's like original point here that I think is so important. It is terrible if you have to go to like an external source to do this, right? Like it's so bad. Like it's so inaccessible, right?
New player, you must now download all this extra stuff to be allowed into any group within this video game that you already downloaded.
Imagine how terrible that'd be. Like in order to join any group, you have to have like your API key like ready to go, right? Ready to like boom, we're gonna drop that in.
People don't even know what an API key is, and you're getting them to go and download. Like, come on. It's so bad. Oh.
Yeah, it isn't good. And that this is something that I would like to see ArenaNet actually relent on. I think the problem is, though, I think that it's... How would you do this optically? How could you add something like gear check to the game in a way that wouldn't just cause a massive uproar, like an absolute shitstorm? Because...
Here's what you do.
Yeah, what do you do?
Marketing.
Well, I mean,
here's how you market it.
Ooh.
So you say, hey, you've always wondered what your friends are wearing. Now you can see other people's skins and you don't even have to interact with them. Remove negative interactions from the game, like getting ignored and stuff. Now you can just know, right? You can just know what skins somebody has. Well, you present it like it's mostly about cosmetics for that group. Ooh. And then you also present it that it's about stats and understanding builds better and learning from each other for the more hardcore community.
Yeah.
Like it's a win-win. It honestly is a massive win for the community if you have gear check, because now suddenly, like, I get asked all the time, yo, what's with the hat? And like if I'm AFK, they don't get an answer to that. Right? And but if I'm there, I have to say, it's like the celebration hat. I'm like, what do you mean the celebration hat? Then I have to like tell them to like go look at the wiki, but it was only out in like the first month of the game, and but they could do that all themselves if they had gear check, right? So it's actually kind of a win. And then if you're like a hardcore player and you're like, holy crap, that guy just absolutely annihilated me in the DPS race. What build are they running? What gear? You could look. You could see it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you so here's the thing. Arc DPS doesn't work in PvP, right?
No,
No.
it doesn't.
Just disable it unless you're in a raid or the aerodrome or in a fractal or the mistlock. But the skin browser still works anywhere in the world, but you can only see stats and runes and sigils and shit if you're in a particular area. You could do that, surely.
I don't even think it's bad though, because I feel like in open world, no one's gonna give you a hard time for like whatever gear. Like, who cares, right?
No, they will when South one burns Octofine.
Yeah, but that's when your gear's too good, right? They want you to have worse gear, right? Dude, look, you can gear check people to see if they've unequipped their armor in the fucking Halloween labyrinth, right?
The labyrinth.
Okay, that's big. That's actually huge play there. That's big. So you can say, like, if you're in our squad, you must unequip your gear.
So it's like a nudist colony checker.
And they gear check you to make sure.
I'm actually checking to make sure you have absolutely no clothing on.
They get added as a feature to the commander tag, and only commanders and lieutenants can use
Oh
it.
no!
That's
That's a great idea.
Because then everyone would get commander tags so that they're not gear checked. People already do that. They get commander tags so that they can play DPS, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah,
big
Or they
break.
can skip the KP check.
People get commander tags so they just don't need to know the mechanics, because if someone like calls
It's
them
true.
out, they kick them. Boom, insta, like you're done. Time to move on. Terminal segue there, but we had to get the TeaTime bingo in of talking about third-party add-ons and gear check every single week. Very important. And we had to start off the new year, 2022. You got to get I'm helping you guys out with your TeaTime bingo cards. Let's see if we can hit some other. Can we talk about 10-man versus 5-man now, real quick? Can we do that? ASAP, guys. Yeah. Is it time for that?
What if there are 5-man commander tags and they look different? It's just half of the commander tag.
Oh, this is okay. I'm getting segued, but I can't help it. Okay. How do you guys feel about actually removing parties from the game and making it all squads?
Isn't bingo. I like it doesn't. Yeah, why not? They should.
Because
I don't know why they
squads have good functionality, like you can put the markers and stuff. I think that's really good. You have ready check, right? Like squads are better than parties.
Yeah, remove parties, and here's what you do. You just add a little box that you tick that says 5-person. Right? You know how you can make it a 10 or a 50? Now just make one that says 5. Boom. Now you win.
Boom. Easy.
It's all you had to do.
And it unifies it too, right? Like you have this one system instead of two systems, right? Parties and squads. You would just have squads instead.
Then you can get rid of SQ join and just make it join for everything.
Boom.
Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah.
And they would have to recode dungeons for it to work.
Just delete dungeons, right? No, please don't.
Sorry, Payne, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. But yeah, speaking of that, like I don't know about anyone else, but like for anyone that regularly tags up for raids and does all that stuff, going into fractals, it's like I always press P and expect a ready button to be there to to get everyone just to go all at once for like 100 TM, for instance. And I keep on pressing P. I'm like, oh crap, there's no ready check over there. So I can't. We have to call it out.
Yeah, so weird.
So yeah, that would be actually cool if there was such a thing in 5-man content.
Getting back on topic, and this is kind of blending into the 2022 thing. Here is a wild look. I don't think you guys are ready for this take. In fact, I know you aren't ready for this take. A lot of the story towards the end of the Icebrood saga was instanced. They were experimenting with Dragonstorm, an instance open world meta event, basically. Marionette, again, instance open world meta event, essentially. Dragon response missions, instanced open world map with story. What do you guys think the odds are that a lot of the story that comes out in the expansion, or rather maybe even the living story, not the story itself actually, from the expansion, would actually be done the same way? So a lot of it would actually end up being much more heavily instanced than what we've seen previously. Do you think people hate that? So in other words, instead of like getting a new map, you get a bunch of like story, like repeatable story instances. So kind of like there's the DRM thread. So like the story comes out and boom, repeatable instances. And instead of adding a new map with like a meta event on it, you get an instanced meta event instead. What about that?
I think.
Well, that thing that the hub that they showed off for 2.5 hours on the gameplay stream, right? Whatever that map was called, where it has like the portal in it, they could just make that like the center of it, and then it would make sense to actually care about upgrading it. Wait, I don't why are you making that face, Teapot?
But I'm just saying, I'm excited. You know, that's energy. I'm fresh.
Okay. You're acting. I thought that you were implying that I wasn't supposed to talk about that map or that stream or something.
No,
But-
I
okay,
enjoy
yeah.
it. I
They-
try
they
to forget
should-
it, but you know, we might as well talk about it.
Yeah, they should just make like 2 or 3 open world maps that are kind of cool, and everything else should be an instance that like feeds out of that little hub, and then you upgrade it, and then you care about it, and it's completely fine. Or better yet, they should just not add any story in the expansion, and everything should be content that you do. That's the best of both worlds: no story and only strike missions.
But the strike missions are the story.
They could add strikes with no story.
But I mean, they are the story though. They're reused from the story. The whole point.
But isn't that exactly why they haven't showed us any strike so far? Is because it is tied in with the story?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Well, okay. I guess my point is here is what if the game actually became, in a way, a little bit more like Guild Wars 1. So in Guild Wars 1, the story, well, there isn't really a concept of an open world in Guild Wars 1. It's all instances anyway. But all the story was done in missions, right? Like this concept of missions. So you get your pie together, you hit enter the mission, then boom, you're in. And it's like a scripted instance, right? That has the story progression, and you can repeat it as many times as you want. What if the game actually ended up going in that direction?
That would be good. I think that would be good.
So, in other words, like it was less focused on the open world experience, and it was more focused on kind of scalable instances, right? Because they'd still make it soloable, right? But they would make it probably scale a bit like some of the like the Dragon Responseman did. This is actually some 500 IQ shit. Holy shit! Yeah, like they make it scalable, and it's repeatable, and it's reused in terms of strike missions as well. Wow. What do you guys think about that? That's weird. That will be really weird because obviously Guild Wars 2 is it's an open world game, and I have to say I would be a bit sad. I'd be like, man, no open world? That sucks. But it would make the game much more repeatable, right? It would make the game have a lot of it would make a lot of the content very, very tangible when it comes out. And Dragonstorm is very good as well, right? I think Dragonstorm is actually a really good idea because it allows you to play with your guild, right? And do it whenever you want. You don't have to wait for a timer. I think this is one thing that people don't necessarily like that much about Guild Wars 2 is that the game is on rails. It's like really on rails a lot of the time. And adding instances into the table means you can do it whenever you want, being able to get a private instance for your guild if you're a group. I think there are actually some significant advantages to this there as well. I mean, I'm not saying they would like delete open world. They would obviously never do that. You would still have open world content that would come out, but I could definitely see them doing stuff more like Champions, Icebrood Saga Champions, in the future for the content releases of the game, simply because they were able to do those things really quickly and efficiently, I think, and with a bit more polish. I think they could be a really solid replayable experience that still delivers the story. Because look, it's not like the story doesn't happen in instances now, guys, right? Like when you play through story, you still do like little instances. I'm just saying that you would almost extend a lot of the things that you would find in open world into that experience as well. So there's, instead of having a world boss necessarily like having like this really big meta chain, you would have the meta chain inside an instance that you could join at any time, right? So in other words, you could have like almost have an open world map, but it's actually an instance the entire time. Maybe that's weird. I don't know.
Do you think they already did that? They said that there was that portal thing on that one stream where they revealed the.
That was look. That was Arborstone. Don't even just yeah.
All right.
That was what they were really excited for. They were, yes, behind that is a very, very empty room with nothing in it. Right. That was what they were excited about.
No. They on the stream where they were. What's the elemental specialization called? I can't even remember.
Catalyst.
Yeah. When they revealed Catalyst on accident, you remember that there was a portal on that map, but they're like, "Oh, we can't tell you where it goes." You think that was Arborstone?
I think it was.
Or
yeah.
do you think it's exactly what you were just talking about?
I mean, I wish it was, but they would have said so by now. I'm a little bit.
I don't think so.
I'm slightly mentally broken about EoD content wise because of Arborstone. I'm not gonna lie, like that stream, it mentally broke me. That was my NA raid LFG moment. You know, it broke me.
Yeah, that stream was worse than Pang's chair.
Whoa.
Yeah. I mean, you have all the guts coming out, courtesy of this creature right over here. Decides to show up right on cue.
I guess the alternative would be like adding like the guild events thing so you can start it. I guess, you know, maybe that's the better solution, so it's still open world. But then again, look, isn't open world in Guild Wars 2 literally an illusion anyway, right? Because it's all instanced. I feel like I'm kind of tripping at this point. Isn't it all just fake anyway? What's the difference between Dragonstorm and an open world map? Isn't it literally that Dragonstorm doesn't actually appear on the world map? Is there any other fundamental difference from an open world meta event and Dragonstorm?
My immersion. No,
because I don't think there is. Even in terms of immersion, though, immersively, it's not different because all you're doing is you're entering an instance. Yeah, it's just the way you get there instead of like walking through a portal as you teleport there. But think about that. How does the living world work, right? You don't walk to the living world maps. You'll take a story instance which will teleport you there, right? That's not how any of this works. Like, isn't that kind of interesting to think about? That, oh... Ooh. Fascinating, my friends. No, it's not about it being a virtual world. Obviously, it's not fake. What I'm saying is that this entire concept of open world is somewhat illusory, right? In Guild Wars 2, right? Because everything is instanced. It's just, is it private or public, right? Is the big thing. And you could even have public as well. Right. Yeah, I know that you have waypoints and stuff to these maps, but that's the big difference, right? Is that it appears on the world map and you can click on it to teleport there, but you can just talk to an NPC and teleport there with Dragonstorm. So I wonder if they would. I know that people are saying that no one would ever do this. Like ArenaNet would never add this to the game. They would never make the game more instanced. But the game, in a way, already is. It just does a pretty good job of hiding it, I guess.
I think that's a great idea, Teapot.
Yeah, I to be honest, I'm just super indifferent because again, I haven't really done like I don't engage with the story as much. So, I mean, to me, I'm like, haven't they already done this? Like at the beginning of Heart of Thorns, you're like you start your story. Do you not remember this? At the beginning of Heart of Thorns, you start your story in, I think it's in the Silver Waste, right? You do like the prologue. Yeah, and then you go and you talk to the person, but then it takes you into an instance map, but other players are in that instance map with you. And you go and do like what would be kind of part of a meta event in the Silver Waste, and then you just move on. Right?
Oh.
Yeah.
So does this not already exist?
Well, kinda. It does a little bit. But yeah. No. Here's the thing. You know, this whole like wandering concept, how is it any different? You're entering an instance that you could easily wander into, right? I don't even think that's necessarily not the case. Again, the difference would be, right, that you don't have any other objectives on the map, but why couldn't you do that? Why could you not add like an entire private map, essentially, right? That, you know, is a little bit more linear, I guess, than the open world, but you could easily do this. Like, you know what you do? You wander into an instance right now. Whenever you walk around on the open world, you are wandering into different instances. That is what they are. The open world is entirely instanced, right? That is literally what it is. I don't see why that couldn't be made the case. You can even have a No, it's not. I actually don't agree. I don't think it is terrible for new players. You can even have a portal, right? You could even have like a portal, something like that, right? Yeah, it is a little bit like Dragon Stand, I guess, but it will be a private version of Dragon Stand, right? Like, you could have a portal you could randomly wander into. You could probably even have it on the world map. There's probably tech they could do to have it on the world map that you could teleport to. It's a super interesting idea there, actually, but I'm not sure if it really has any benefits. But I just like the idea of being able to make a map and like spin up a map whenever I want. Because like, dude, I want to do like Dragon Stand. I want to do it now. I don't want to wait 2 hours, right? Let me play my Dragon Stand. I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Yeah, you're literally describing the open world. No, I'm not. I'm absolutely not Coup Turtle. I'm saying that this is a private version of the open world where you're able to spin up a copy of this anytime you want, and it's a little bit more meta event oriented and a little bit more scripted. This is not the same thing, right? Dragonstorm is not the same thing as open world because you can spin it up anytime you like, right? And you can make it private as well. It's private and you can start anytime you want. This is not open world, and it's not Dragon Stand there as well. Like, just to be clear, these are very, very different things. But yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm done debating the chat.
Is that anything that anybody really wants, though? Like, does anyone care?
Don't we like Dragonstorm?
I've never even played it. I don't know what it is or how to get there.
I've played it like 5 times.
I think one of the only real advantages I see about that is that you can do basically whatever you want whenever you want. Like, you don't have to adhere to a timer. Just say, for example, like if there was a private Tequatl, so then you can just you can just form
we
your
can't
50-man
have that.
squad and then just go in and do that at that point rather than having to wait the 3 hours for the next iteration.
Do you know the problem with a private Tequatl instance?
What?
Mike is going to do it with 49 alt accounts all day long.
Yeah, it's the only thing he's going to do. Yeah. Private doppelganger as well.
But you can do that right now. That's the thing. And it's even better to do it right now because you have other people that does things for you. But now you have to do it on your own.
I mean, I personally, I think they should make an instance copy of every boss so that you don't have to adhere to the timer. I do like that. But I'm kind of confused about the story thing. Like, I just kind of don't get it. Like, why? I don't know why it matters.
Yeah, that's how I feel about the story too.
I just don't understand the story instance thing, Teapot. Like, you keep saying words and then they just like are kind of they pass by me. I don't get it.
Well,
I don't get why it's important. It's already
the idea is, well, it already exists to an extent, right? But I'm saying that you could go like even harder on this. You could make it like you could even put map exploration into instances, right? Like, I know that's super weird, but look, they already have this with DRMs. Yeah,
and raids.
You could, like
that.
Raids have POIs, Dragon response visions have POIs, right? That you can unlock. Like, you can unlock stuff while you're actually in the DRM. It's kind of interesting, don't you think?
No. Well, raids have not only POIs, they have vistas and they have vistas and hero points.
Yeah.
Sure, but I really don't want everything to be instant so that I find somebody who just crawled out of the shadows and is suddenly discovering team content and they're like, for the last 3 years, I've only played alone. And now that I need the achievement points from team, I am now communicating with a person for the first time in my MMORPG. Come on, it's an MMORPG.
How was that any different from now?
Because at least you see other people.
Well, you would. There would be like a public version of these things that you could join.
Well,
and most people would probably do that, right?
Kind of exists. I don't know if I don't think you should go harder on it, really. I think the mix that they have is kind of okay now. I wouldn't really want more and more content, especially the content where you can easily socialize with other people, even if people aren't doing it to the extent maybe they ought to. Like, eliminating that is really bad for the game and information sharing and mentoring and all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I'm kind of devil's advocate because I'm just kind of like just kind of spitballing here a little bit because I think it's an interesting concept. I do like the idea of being able to do things whenever you want instead of having to wait for it. And I know that there are going to be some downsides. It would certainly make it a bit more like Guild Wars 1, But I'm just thinking, like, maybe that's easier to develop, right? Like, maybe, maybe it allows them to kind of make this content a little bit more strict, a little bit less fluid. And, that can make it a bit more of a streamlined process and a more of a streamlined gameplay thing there as well, for sure. And guys, look, are you guys like Ooga Boogas? Guys, a lot of people do Public Dragonstorm actually. Like, Public Dragonstorm is actually really popular, right? A lot of people
I'm
do
sure it is. It's just that, like, I don't. Why should I care about it?
Yeah.
Like, if it's a bunch of minion necros and turret engineers AFK, and if it's Bram fighting Ryland, like, that's everything I don't like about the game.
But so here's the flip side to that, is that the casual people that do Public Dragonstorm are saying the exact same thing about raids. Right, like, we want raids, but they don't. They want more public things, right? And like, they want the exact opposites. They want more public things. They want less raids. So, well, like,
I have
everyone's always going to kind of like argue the opposite point, and that's kind of like what's happening right now. Like, there's always going to be benefits and like, obviously negative points with like private instances, public instances, because like, if just say, for example, if there's a private instance of Tequatl, not only can you just have like one person with 49 alts in there, but you can also make it sellable too, right?
Well, okay,
like,
I'm hearing a lot of pushback here against this idea, but everything that people are saying that critiques this idea already applies to open world. Right?
Well, if that's the case, then
it's leechable, it's AFKable, it's easy, it's not challenging. Hello, guys, have you played open world recently? Have you played the story recently? I think there are some advantages actually to having things a little bit more controlled in the environment. I think it's easier to balance it, right? Okay, it's easier to. It's easier to make things scalable too. Like, if you have a lot of things very instance, you can have difficulty settings, right? It's kind of hard to do that with an open world. Noting a hot and running shot to Dragonstone. Why not? Like, why couldn't you do that? Why couldn't you add more dynamic events to Dragonstorm? Exploration, like a jumping puzzle to a Dragonstorm map. Why couldn't you do that? You could easily do that if you wanted to. That would be trivial. Because again, every map is an instance, guys. Like, man, dude, this honestly is great credit to ArenaNet, in my opinion. It's really cool because I think that the game, the game genuinely does an amazing job of this. It does actually convince you it's an open world when really everything is instanced, right? Like, everything is instanced. But I think this is really interesting to see how people don't perceive it that way, which is super cool, actually. Hey, to get drunk? No, I'm not. Okay, no, like, no one has said anything that I'm wrong on here at all. You could easily do all of this in a private. In fact, you already can, right? Do this kind of stuff. I think it's fascinating. I'm not even saying that they should, by the way. I'm not saying that the game sucks, right? And that I hate the game. I'm just saying that what if it was different? Like, what if they actually did change? Like, because again, 2021 was a really big year of flux for ArenaNet. What if it was different? What if they do go a different direction with the game there a little bit? It's super interesting, I think. Right? Yeah. Hey,
what's the like? I don't understand the point. Like, you still.
Because
I don't get it either.
Wait, how do you not get this? Wait, Sneb, this is one of the dude. Sneb, I'm actually exposing you. Before the TeaTime, you said that one of the reasons why you don't play open world content is because people are very, very low effort and go AFK. If you added a system like this where all story and a lot of open world content became more private, or rather had the option to be private, that's no longer an issue for you. All of a sudden,
doing that,
but they aren't.
I don't get.
No, they aren't.
But they are.
No, this is a lie.
They made Dragonstorm public and private.
Yeah, but this is literally what I'm saying. I'm saying, what if they? Hello, yes, I'm saying, what if they continued to do this and actually made this the norm rather than the exception?
Oh, well, I thought it was assumed that they were going to do that. Like, why else would they have done all this crap to begin with?
Because I think that was.
I guess I just agree with you then. Maybe that's why I'm confused.
Well, you think So you think it was just an experiment, and maybe they do it, and maybe they don't?
Yeah, I think it was an experiment. Yeah, I think I think one of the reasons why they did Dragonstorm and DRMs is because making maps is really hard, especially kind of like all the ambient stuff or like the peripheral stuff going on is like really hard to do. So bringing it into a more streamlined and kind of scripted environment is much easier to develop. Hence why they did it in the Icebrood Saga, right? No, but I was assuming, my assumption would not be that this would continue.
Really? You think they're not going to? See, the whole reason I've been confused this whole time is because I thought you were trying to argue something that wasn't what's happening now. So I was like, but how is this different? I kept trying to like figure that out. But no, yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a big proponent of making it so that you have the option, right? I think... Look, like I said pre-TeaTime, the reason that I don't do open world stuff anymore is because I can't control what's going on at all, and I'm afraid of being griefed, trolled, and just engaging with players who aren't engaged all the time. I view it as kind of unfair that I will go in, let's say I bring 30 people or something, and we basically do the entire event, and there's a bunch of people that are probably good players too, some of them at least, that sit there and AFK and then swing their sword once and get all the credit. I have a great distaste for that system, and so I prefer not to engage with it very often. So if there was a way that things were more private, right? Like I think Dragonstorm and Marionette are awesome, and I thought they were just going to keep doing that. I thought it was assumed that every event going forward would or most events would have something like that. I don't think they have to do all of them necessarily, but for big world bosses and stuff, yeah, I think it makes sense. And for story, I like the DRMs. I thought that was actually a good system that needs some refining, right? I actually thought it was a good idea. So I think the public instances for those things are actually the most broken, especially DRMs. You go into public and you have 4 leechers and like one person doing something. And the saddest part about all of this is that it's often very experienced players that don't engage with the fight at all. So,
Yeah,
because it's boring.
But why is that? People don't engage because other people don't engage. It's kind of like a bit of a disease, right? People go like, oh yeah, no one's trying.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing like 3k DPS, so I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, we define this differently. Like the experienced players aren't engaging because they view the players that aren't as experienced doing 3k DPS as unengaged, and so there's a huge differential in power and like influence on the fight, and the person who's having the most influence gets no reward for helping the person that has very little influence. And the person with very little influence isn't given any sort of signal that they are, just to be blunt, that they're not impactful, that they don't have an influence on with their team, that they're the bench player that got put in because everyone else was injured. Like they don't know, right? They have no idea. They just think that they're God of Tyria and that they just keep moving forward, and that everything is because of them. If there was some way to differentiate those two things, I think both players would become more engaged, right? Suddenly there's more reason for the person who's AFK because they're tired of everybody, they're tired of putting on a backpack and carrying 4 people with them along the ride. And then the person that's not having as big of an impact, suddenly they want to engage more and figure out how to do more damage and provide more boons and heal their team and whatever, so that they get more rewards. That's the fundamental flaw in all of that. But yeah.
I think maybe I didn't express this very well, or maybe I don't think people understand actually that this is not actually very different, right? A lot of people are saying that we're trying to force change, but the people saying this don't recognize that this isn't that different. To be clear, open world is instanced. This is a fact, right? This is how it is. The only thing that I'm suggesting here is that you can basically spin up a map anytime you want, right? With a private version, or you could have like a public scheduled version too, just like you have it right now. Okay, that's the only difference. Okay, that's it.
I finally fully understand. So you wanted to take a whole map event like Dragon Stand and make it instanced.
Yeah, and you could even have hearts.
That makes sense.
You could even have POIs, hearts, vistas on this, because we know they can do this. They already have these things in instances, right? They already have this. And there
finally
isn't,
understand.
and the thing is, there isn't a difference between these two things. Again, right? Like there isn't actually a fundamental difference. Like because again, do you know what happens? Okay, look, here's the kill shot, right? This is gonna mentally break the doubters here. Do you guys know what happens when no one in the entire game is on a map and one person says, right, I'm gonna go to Dragonstand? Yeah, that's right. It spins up a map instance for that person. The only difference is that you can spin it up anytime you like, and this would be like, I guess you'd extend out this concept to a lot of content. You could even have the story happen within this kind of same instance context as well, right? At the same time, so you could kind of go in with a party and go and investigate things like that. That's all I'm getting at there. I'm not.
I think I would be careful about this though. The issue is that if you make too much of it. Like, if I could play the whole game instanced, honestly, this is going to sound really bad, everybody. Like, brace yourselves. Hold on to the side of your seat. If I could do everything instanced now, I think I would. And that's probably not a good thing. But, I mean, I'm at the point where it bothers me enough that people aren't engaged and that they don't try in open world events. Inexperienced and experienced players, by the way. It bothers me enough that I would rather go into literally everything with a team, a guild, or whatever. And I actually wonder if you did that, if the people, like, I think a lot of things would fail. Like, I think a lot of public maps would fail.
They would. They absolutely would. You know, the other flip side of this is it's the best possible thing that could happen for Hardstuck as an organization.
The only way you can clear stuff now is by joining us. I like that.
Yeah.
That's
you just
good.
have commanders that do stuff as a list all day long. You join the Discord, you say, okay, instead of waiting 2 hours for fucking Chalk Gerent, we're just going to go right now. You have people type in general chat. They say, hey, I really need Chalk Gerent. Someone else says, oh, I need that too. And then it doesn't take you 2.5 months to get your chalk eggs. You can just get all your chalk eggs in a day.
Yeah, well,
like, I mean, now we're talking about the reward system being different too. Let's like cast that aside for now, because if you did that and you have instance, people would farm the crap out of stuff.
Yeah, we should do that.
If you took the reward thing off and you allowed people to like farm Drakkar, we'd have 12-minute Drakkar on lock, and we would just farm it all day long, right? And we'd get all the
but wouldn't that be good?
Weapons.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I mean, I'm not necessarily against it, but there are some consequences, like some pretty major consequences to instituting these private instances, right? And I'm actually like really conflicted, because on one hand, I think, okay, if people are failing maps because they're unengaged and all of the good players are playing together on instanced maps, then maybe suddenly people will be like, well, I guess we better actually learn to play. Like that's like it kind of forces them to fail and learn in a sense. But on the other hand, I don't know that it's really appropriate to do that, because now those players are left like wandering around like, why can't I do anything? Because the game doesn't really help them get there. I don't know. I think it's almost like really harsh in a sense. I don't know if it would be quite as dramatic as I'm saying, right? I think people would probably still do open world, but like imagine if like suddenly everything was instance like that, and you just got like Snow Crows and Win and all of Hardstuck, and just everyone was just like doing instance content all day long, right? And we just suddenly all of the players that could like answer questions and mentor other players are just gone, right? Like they're just not in the public things anymore.
Well, we have an LFG though.
I mean, you have an LFG. You could add a guild finder. You would still have some. It was not like you would like delete all open world content from the game. You'd still have open world. They're not going. They're never going to get.
Then apps. They're going to KP check meta. I'm not even kidding. That's what we're going to come to. They're getting raid KP check meta events.
Yeah, but here's
yes.
I mean, okay. So
is that bad or good? I don't even know.
So what's new though, right? Like what's new? In that case, I mean, yeah, you don't have like raid KP like meta events for sure, but isn't the community already insanely divided in this regard? Like, how does a new players don't have any idea or any contact with the raid community? This is kind of one of the things that we want to fix with stuff like Hardstuck, right? New players don't have this. This is not how it works, right? I mean, for sure. I said, okay, right. No, I don't want to reply to the chat too much. I'm sorry, guys, for distracting myself from the podcast. This is like a flat falsehood. Subbing on Discord for a shot of Doom CM carries. Wait, do you mean like watching Pang stream? That's not subscribing, okay? He just carries people in Doom CM. That's a very nice thing to do. It's what I do as well. It's not about subbing on what subbing on, what does that even mean? Subbing on Discord? You mean join? Oh wow, join the Discord server for a chance to maybe get a free boss kill. Oh no, how terrible. Oh my god. Oh no. Wasn't Pang? Well, I mean, whoever it was, no one's subbing to do that, by the way. That is an outright lie, okay? Like, you know.
Yes, I would like to confirm this, that I did not ask. I even promoted to say that not even followers, non-followers, and even subs had the equal amount of chance of getting into the squad as the 10th member for the free CM carry.
I think I know what they're talking about. Actually, I don't.
So
think
this is
Pang.
so this is not me.
I just to be very clear, I don't remember who it was, but because I'm everywhere all at once. But I do recall seeing something like this, and I don't remember who it was. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Pang though, and I think I have an inkling of who it might be, but I'm not going to name names because I have no idea, and I don't want to cause drama.
I won the call. I mean, who cares though? I mean, it's like a free giveaway, right? Of like Doom CM. Like, who cares? Like, it's whatever.
I mean, yeah, it's probably. Okay. I think people are just like, oh, like to pay to have a better chance. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of that either, but whatever. Like, anyway, let's move on.
Okay, no, I want to actually say something here real quick, actually, guys. Look, on TeaTime, I deliberately bring up things that I know people are going to disagree with. Okay? I deliberately say things that are hyperbolic, a little bit over the top, maybe even things, well, a lot of these things I don't even necessarily think should happen. I'm not saying that this stuff should happen, guys. Okay? In the game. But I do not have any interest in making like a circle jerk, right, for the Guild Wars 2 community. I actively want disruption, and I actively want conflict. And I feel like I actually have to underline this. I almost want to make a bit of a separate video talking about this, actually, about this podcast, because I think a lot of people don't get it, like specifically people who watch it on YouTube, I'm not going to lie. I am not here to affirm what I already think, and I'm not here to affirm what you already think. Okay? In fact, quite the opposite. I want this to be a nice cozy listen, obviously, but I want it to be a challenge as well. I want you to think, right? I want the viewers on Twitch to think, and I want the listeners on YouTube to think. Because in my opinion, what is the point in having a conversation if it's not going to give you some food for thought, right? I don't know. Just want to kind of put that out there. I've got to lay it down because I think this is a little bit weird, guys. Again, this is not a case of like, oh wow, I hate open world content or I hate the fucking game. No, right? I don't hate the game. I actually really like the game. I'm just saying, what if it was different? Do we like that? Do we not like that? Okay, I don't know. You tell me.
I'm the only one on the here that hates the game. Right. Clearly, I mean,
yeah. True. Yeah, that is true, actually, guys. Okay, Sneb does hate Guild Wars 2. This is accurate. But yeah, like, to be clear, right, that is what I like on my stream, and you'll definitely hear this a lot more if you watch my regular streams. I will bring up provocative topics, right, and I will engage with provocative topics because I find it interesting about the game, or even sometimes not even about the game. And I guess, I don't know, bit of a disclaimer here, guys. If that's not for you, that's completely fair, but then you shouldn't watch TeaTime. After the expansion, what do you guys think happens?
I think there won't be any content for a year. Just kidding. Just kidding. I think they'll probably pick up with, well, they're going to add the strike CMs after the expansion launches, right? So they launched the expansion with regular strikes. They add in strike CMs. I think they'll do story consistently afterwards, and then they probably add a strike with each story. They add the CM to it either whenever it releases or later on. I think if they slowly add in new skins, they've been advertising new skins and stuff on the page that come with the expansion.
Mhm.
Like they could add in slowly, like a new skin, like a piece at a time, like they did with the faux fire stuff, but just not in the gym store. Like imagine if we had runic armor, but like the first episode you got the boots, and then you got the legs.
Here's why I asked
They
the
could do that.
question. Because look, I'm not done pissing people off today. I want to do it again. Okay, I want to do it again. So, because once again, we were talking about this beforehand, right? Is that Sneb isn't considered toxic. Brazil is not considered toxic anymore. So, like, all the rage and fear are going to Pang. I'm taking it this time.
Yeah.
I'm shielding Pang. He can remain his innocent, beautiful, unadorned self, right? It's going to be great. Here we go. Steam release. The Steam release is coming. We know this. We know it is coming.
Summer, it's my guess.
Okay.
It's probably
Summer.
not even breathing hard yet.
But here's
Don't
the
at
thing.
me. I'm correct.
Yeah,
Summer,
no,
let's go.
I agree with you, Sneb. I agree with you. But here's the thing. Living Story Season 1 doesn't exist. Okay? It's not real. It's not here yet. Okay? So, what if they aren't going to release new content for a while after the X-Pack? Because listen, dude, if anyone here thinks they have like content prepared for after the X-Pack, you're actually delusional. They literally had to like cut the Icebrood Saga in half to start working on the X-Pack, and then they delayed it as well. This is clearly going to be balls to the walls to get out the door. What if they actually do Season 1, that's done, and then boom, Steam release, and then after the Steam release, that's when Season 6 starts. So we actually don't get we basically get Return to Living World achievements, but it's Season 1. Maybe they reduce it. Right, Marionette, maybe you get Strike Mission, Battle on the Breachmaker, right? So it's not like they literally copy-paste it from like the scuffed GitHub repository where they have Season 1, right? They actually reduce it and bring it back to life, okay? And it's better, and they remake it. But there's actually nothing new in the game until then because of the Steam release. And while they're doing this, they also, okay, hear me out. This is where, this is where you guys are going to start laughing at me, making fun of me, right? They unfuck the game. So they work on balancing the game. They fix a bunch of bugs in the game, and they refine stuff like the UI and the new player experience, right? So they try and do like, boom, right? Better achievement UI so people can kind of look at things that they can do a little bit easier, right? Stuff like that.
No.
That's my take. That is my take on what happens after the X-Pack.
No. I don't think that Living World Season 1 is like saved. Like I think they'd have to like recreate a lot of that.
Yeah. I think they have. I think they want to though. I think they're going to do it.
A lot of work. I don't think the ROI is there.
But the thing is, new players. You join the game, and then what happens? Like you have a cutscene that introduces a bunch of characters to you, and then you have no idea who these people are. That's scuffed.
I think they.
Okay.
I don't disagree, but the problem is I don't think the ROI is there. I don't think they do it. I don't think it makes them enough money. Like think about it. What does doing that give them?
A cohesive new player experience.
Yeah, but I'd actually be curious to see the stats. How many players, like, is that really important enough for most players, right? I don't think most players are going to play through all of that story and all of that and care enough, right? I mean, I agree. I wish it was more cohesive. I wish that gap didn't exist, but I don't think it's as important as you're making it out to be.
I think that I would say this is true of every MMO, by the way, not just Guild Wars. I think one of the real key points where people will either continue to play or quit is when you get to max level.
Yep.
And
Got to be a goal after that, and Guild Wars 2 is very good at directing goals.
And level 80, okay, yeah, the achievement UI is weird. The what do I do next is weird. They fixed that. But Living Story. It gets weird. You hit level 80 and then boom, you're into Living Story Season 1, which is a cutscene, and then bam, Season 2, then HOT. But like you have no idea who everyone is. Like you're out. You're destroyed.
I think people are you're all misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm saying that I agree it would be good, and I'm not comparing it to raids or anything else. I'm not saying that players don't play the story. I'm well aware that more people play the story than raid. What I'm saying is that the ROI to recreate all of Season 1 and put it in a neat little package, I don't know if it's there. I don't think enough players quit the game because of that cutscene, is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I think some people might get a little bit confused and a little bit detached, right? Away from that, for sure. I think that does kind of weird people out. I don't know. Is it that expensive? Like, Season 1 wasn't very complicated, right? It was a bit scuffed, right? Because of the way it was made. Would that really be a really expensive thing to do?
Well, I'm not sure, right? We don't have the stats on that.
Also, here is where the ultra omega brain... I'm bringing it around into the original topic, the 2021 retrospective. 2021 has demonstrated that you don't actually need to add content to the game to make people play it.
I mean,
okay, the return achievements carried this game so fucking hard. It is unbelievable, right? They just gave everyone the content for free. Like, fuck it, get some AP and some Mystic Clovers, boom. They do that with Season 1 when they bring it back.
If they bring it back, do they charge for it?
No. And here is part 2. Here is part 2 of the insanity theory. They do like another return to style thing on the Steam release.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty good marketing.
Big.
But the reason I
love
actually
that
think
shit.
that the
They love
Return
it.
2 thing, the Return 2 thing is so smart, and the reason is because, let's say that you're a player and you're just like, I do not want to spend all these gems buying all the story, but I'd be really interested in engaging with it. Now you're playing every week, right? Now you're making it a habit, right? So it makes sense if you were to do something similar with Steam, because let's be honest, that money doesn't really matter relative to the money that people might spend on the little extras like extra storage space and build templates and whatever, right? Cosmetics, mount skins. That's what matters. So if you just get people playing every week, then they're more likely, perhaps, to buy skins and things. So chuck the thing off chuck the price tag away every once in a while and just feed people the new story so they keep playing. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, there's evidence that supports that they have at least some of the Season 1 content around. Like the Molten Facility Fractal, they've added in and taken away parts of that like 3 different times, right? And that was a full dungeon. And you can still get to the other places by jumping puzzles. Aetherblade Retreat too. Like Aetherblade Retreat, that whole thing is still there. The whole map still exists. They've just made it harder to get to the rest of it. But they at least have some of that content. I don't know about the open world stuff because maybe they literally just hit like save instead of save as and just overwrote whatever copy of it.
I think that was the nature of the game though, right? Like, because back then when something was gone, it was actually gone, right? You would never see it again. So I don't think all of it exists. I think some of it probably has actually like unironically been deleted, right? Like it's been purged into
Hear me out on this one, okay? Hear me out on this one. A gem store pass key. Okay.
Wait, what?
Like Mistlock Sanctuary, like Royal Terrace. All right. Yeah. You follow me so far?
Yep, I'm there. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And it takes you to Old Lion's Arch.
Yeah.
Everyone would buy it. Every player
would definitely buy that. Yeah, people would definitely buy that, actually.
I would buy just the EFK in front of the bank again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
they still have Old Lion's Arch. It's in some of the story instances.
Yeah, that's true, actually. It does exist, yeah. It is in the game, yeah. But this is what I mean, though. Think about it. You know, all the kind of like slightly scuffed things in Season 1 could be retuned pretty well. right? You could have like a Battle for Lion's Arch strike mission. You could have Battle on the Breachmaker strike mission. You could have fucking Canuck strike mission or whatever, like all these weird things that happen in season 1. You could have Molten Facility, like the Aether Blade stuff, strike mission for all those. So
Karka Queen.
the Ancient Karka on Salson Cove, you could have that as a strike mission as well. That could also have a challenge mode. So this is why I think this theory actually has a little bit of credence to it, because they could, but because they're going to have to kind of make a lot of it from scratch anyway, probably. Because I mean, look, it's going to be broken. Even if they do have some of the code, it's going to be completely fucked anyway. They're going to have to remake it because it was like Super Adventure Box, right? When they added gliding to the game, they messed with the engine a little bit and it like totally destroyed Super Adventure Box. So they had to rejiggle it loads to bring it back. So it's going to be even more extreme than that. So while they're doing that, in a way, they can actually be releasing new content for the players who played Season 1, and they're also rebuilding the new player experience at the same time. And, that would be really weird. Wouldn't that be really weird? You would, like, level up to 80, then you'd immediately start doing strike missions, but then you'd never see them ever again until Icebrood Saga. Dude, this game is such a clusterfuck, dude. You know, I'm sidetracking here a little bit, but this is why I really wanted them to just do like a completely novel story with Ender Dragons, right? And just say, you know what? You take a Zeppelin to Cantha, and then a giant dragon eats everyone. Like Braham, gone. Timey, gone. Fucking Goric, he's gone as well, right? Everyone except you gets eaten. And you just start fresh. So you could actually have a proper new player experience, because this was mentioned in the chat, and it's absolutely true, by the way. Having to, like, expecting new players to start at the beginning of Guild Wars 2 and then do all of the content, it's weird. Yeah, I'm going to say it. It's very weird. How long would that actually take you? 1 to 80, Season 1, Season 2, HOT, Season 3, Path of Fire, Season 4, Icebrood Saga, and then you can play the expansion that you just paid for. How many hours is that? That's actually a lot of... Is it like 100 hours to get there, do you think? Probably, right? About 100 hours? That's a lot.
It might take a month.
Seriously, guys. Right? Do you know how long it takes to level 1 to 60 in Classic WoW? Yeah, about 100 hours. So, in other words, new players have to do this, like, leveling, like, the Classic WoW experience just to catch up. That's pretty wild. Yeah, thing is, I think this is kind of shitty in Final Fantasy as well. Final Fantasy is a very curated experience, but I was watching Plenix play Final Fantasy. He said that in the early levels, he nearly mentally broke and wanted to uninstall, right? Because it was like so boring. Okay, like the slog, it gets a lot better when you level up. But yeah, I mean, I think that isn't good either, right? It's not good. I mean, it's still bad. You should just be able to get in there and play the game. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, Final Fantasy is a good game in its own right, and I'm sure because it's a very story-driven game, maybe it works out a little bit better. But yeah, it just sounds like horrible to me. It sounds incredibly painful, like to have to do the entire story to play the most recent content. Like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah. That was when I bought Final Fantasy a while back. I was like getting kind of ready to play it because I had this like bunny girl outfit with like her ass out and everything. I'm like, this game's going to be awesome. I'm going to really enjoy having a booba character that I can just run around with and take screenshots. And then Sarah says, oh, by the way, there's like 3 months and hundreds of hours worth of story that you have to play before you get to the end game. You know what I did? I immediately went to Steam and put in a refund request.
I mean, I think you could pay to skip it, I think, to be fair. So.
You can. Like, that actually ended up, she told me, like, oh, wait, you can pay to skip it. And so, like, I canceled the request, and then I paid, like, $15 to skip the story, and I haven't really played it since because I don't like the combat or the UI. Well, but, like, story content for me, it's no. I don't want to do it. I don't want to be forced to play it. I don't want to, and it's not voiced either. It's you read everything in a text box.
Yeah, and this is why I think the new player experience in Guild Wars 2 really needs work. I think this is one of the things that they need to fix. And you know what? I will again. I'm here to upset everyone today. I think it is correct to do this. I think it is actually correct to have the veterans suffer a little bit to unfuck the things that kind of hook people on the game. It's better for the overall health of the game, which long term will be better for everyone involved. And I think they can actually do that while also adding content that we're interested in, right? And we are going to be interested in stuff like strike missions from old content coming back, just it returning, so you can get like the return achievements or similar achievements to that. Yeah, I think it's correct. I really want to see them do this because I do think there is a huge issue. I imagine that there is a massive fall off rate when people actually hit level 80, maybe even more so than other MMOs. Like other MMOs like WoW and Final Fantasy are very curated, very, streamlined experiences. But this is a good thing for those games, right? And Guild Wars 2
Let's define what you mean there, right? Like when you say streamlined experiences, the game is telling you, hey, like this is the next step. Guild Wars 2 does not do that. You hit level 80 and they're like, son, see that land?
Go in there. You're free now. Right, run.
You can do whatever you want. And you're like, but, and they're like, bye. Like now you're just left there and you're like, okay, what am I supposed to do? In those other MMOs, you're like, oh, well, maybe I need to upgrade my gear. Well, to upgrade my gear, I got to go into these raids or do whatever, right? And so it's both a blessing and a curse for Guild Wars 2. People love that, right? Because it's kind of sandboxy. They can do whatever they want and just have fun. But other people are like, I don't know what's left to do in the game. And honestly, it's a little bit complicated because you've got strikes and DRMs, and then you've got dungeons, and you've got raids, and you've got there's just so many different words for like similar things, but not quite the same thing. And then beyond that, there's all the different currencies. When you get to level 80, you're like, what am I supposed to do? Right? Is it fractals? Is it dungeons? Is it this? I guess I missed those dungeons that were part of the story. Maybe I should go back and do those. Or do I do strikes? Because those are kind of relevant because of the recent story. But it's just confusing for players to decide what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or what they should do. Or what would align with how they play the game. Nothing really directs them in that way. Some people are fine with that and just find the things because they do like a little bit of extra research and stuff. But because there's no gear treadmill, because you're not like trying to collect every mount skin or whatever, it gets a little bit I don't know. You just feel like you've been dropped in the middle of a planet, and now you just got to go figure it out.
Yeah, I mean they've alluded to it a little bit with strikes kind of being the new content system and compressing down the currencies and stuff. But I think it is a bit of a paradox of Guild Wars 2 because in a way, right, Guild Wars 2 simply isn't designed to handle this slightly more curated, streamlined approach. Because again, what's the right answer at level 80? And the thing is, there isn't one. Whereas in Final Fantasy and WoW, there is, right? It's go and do these quests, go and do that, and then do dungeons, then do raids, right? Like that's the right answer. You can actually say that is the correct answer if you want to progress your character. In Guild Wars 2, that doesn't exist, right? It's you could do that, or you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do that, or you could do this, and they're all equally valid, right? That's the problem. Like, there's no actual right answer. So ArenaNet's got their work cut out. Good luck. I think they really have to kind of like almost like offer you a menu, right? Like an NPC with like a chef's hat and a mustache comes up at level 80 and says, hello there, sir. Like, would you care to take a look at the menu of all the things you can do here? And then I think just like a really robust system of achievements, quests, basically, right? And collections that would guide you through each game mode, I think would be really good, right?
I don't even know that they have to be super complicated or robust. I don't know if that's what you mean by robust, but like, there doesn't have to be a lot. Like, how we have that tutorial achievements? Just add a new section that's like after level 80. And it's like, go try a dungeon, go try a strike, go try a raid. Like, just put those kind of achievements in there. Just go do these things. And that gives some direction to people after. They could even try to sort of position it as like, see what you like out of the game because we have a lot to offer, right? Go capture a tower in World versus World. Like, just small things that aren't like super difficult to get into, right? Like, don't put like kill 10,000 players in PvP or something, right? Like, just go do a PvP match. Go into World vs. World and capture 2 things. Anything to get people out and trying different things after they hit level 80. That's daily rewards? No. Not quite. What I'm saying is there are no daily rewards for strike missions. There are no daily rewards for raids. There is a daily fractal thing that pops up every once in a while in your meta dailies. Otherwise they do, but people don't. The objective is to get people to have a pop-up once you hit level 80 that says these are things that are available. You're going to see them in your dailies. You're going to see them other places in the game, but we want to introduce you to them formally. This is what they are, blah, 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 blah. Here's your new achievement section. Go try each of these things. The objective isn't to be like, oh yeah, here's like more achievements for these game modes. The idea is to like just show people level 80 these exist, because lots of people tell me they'd never heard of a strike mission before, right? They have no idea what that is. Yes, I forgot I guess there are dailies for strikes because they have that one strike. But
it
the
doesn't
point
have to
is
be-
that it's scattered everywhere. You just want some central hub for people to see that the things exist.
And it's more than just dailies as well, right? Like, you know, doing a strike mission would trigger a collection that says, ooh, do all of these things, all these strike missions, and then maybe at the end you get like a piece of ascended gear, right? Or you get a skin, or you get something, right? And then after you do strikes, it says, ooh, part 2. Raids, fractals, whatever, right? Okay, and it's like, oh, okay, right. If you go into PvP, it says, oh, do the ranked stuff, right? Like get the legendary back piece. It says, hey, go do that. Start working on this item, right? Like working on this thing. And then after you do that, then it says, hey, try a tournament, right? And then it kind of leads you into that tournament play. If you're in World versus World, you know, it will immediately say, right, I want you to do all this like random shit on all these different maps and do stuff, like get a certain number of kills, right? No, like, you know, finish a bunch of players, like downstate players, right? Or whatever it wants you to do in the game there. World vs. World, actually really hard to do this for, I think, actually, to be fair. But yeah, like there's stuff, right? You know, you could do to insane. And at the end of these kind of like little threads that it's leading you on, you would have something like, again, piece of ascended gear, component for a legendary, right? You have this guide, right? This content guide that would like throw tasks at you. And you might say, oh, you know, I don't need this. I don't want an annoying pop-up as a new player. Well, guys, listen, look, most people have no fucking clue what to do in Guild Wars 2. Look, I made a video that is what to do in Guild Wars 2. That video has 200,000 views, okay? People have no idea what this game has. Like, no clue at all, like, what to do in the game. This is a serious issue, which is why I think that it is actually worth sacking some new content to actually unfuck this, right? It is a huge problem. And I do think it's sad, but I do not think that ArenaNet can do new content and fix the scuffed things in the game at the same time. They are not Square. They are not Blizzard, right? These companies are not even close to the same thing. I love ArenaNet. They're cuddly. They're cozy, right? Okay, they've got CMC. Love them, okay? They're great. But they are not Blizzard, okay? They're not a huge, giant, mega company, right? But there you go. That's over. Pang, get in the mix. He wants to say something. Pang's about to activate. He's about to juice.
There is the only thing that they actually show you while you're leveling up is all those the story mode dungeons as you're leveling up, and there's also you do get an in-game mail message in the game when you hit level 80 to go into fractals, but that's it. Like they just give you the little like meme message about like, oh yeah, there's a dazzling new attraction in Lion's Arch called the Fractals of the Mists, and then they also always give you that little that little like meme message about like, oh, this may cause injury, death, and whatever and whatnot in fractals. But that's there at least. But like that's it. Like apart from that, like that's even if you even want to go there and try. At least there's the show me button in that message that actually just like focuses you straight to the portal in Lion's Arch and where it is and how to get into it. It doesn't actually like give you like, oh yeah, you should you should try getting your build ready. Just basically just throw yourself in there and see if you like it or not. But yeah, I mean, like there's and like that's the thing, like just as a streamer, like there's so many times like every day at least like 5 to 10 people as new viewers just like, oh yeah, I just hit level 80, what do I do in this game now? And it's like, what can you tell them? It's like there's this and this and this and this and this and this and this to do, and then they're like, well, then they get overwhelmed. So like you want to just tell them to do one thing and just like start off with that, and then
what if that one thing was an achievement where you said, hey, actually, Guild Wars 2 has an achievement system of what to do at level 80, so you can try different types of content to see what you like. It'll encourage you to try strikes and fractals, and you could explain a little bit about that on your stream. But you could say, it'll encourage you to try all these different game modes. This is how you access that achievement. And then and the achievement will say, take me there. It'll show you where to access strike missions. It shows, because I know that these things already kind of exist, but not to the extent that we're talking about, right? There are achievements for everything, but like you don't know where strikes are when you hit level 80, right? You don't know what DRMs are. You don't really know what raids are, most likely. I mean, I put an LFG up in the raid section the other day. Somebody joined and said, where are you? And I said, what do you mean? We are in Spirit Vale doing Wing 1. And they said, yeah, but where's that? And I said, go to the aerodrome. And they said, what's the aerodrome? Right? Like, people are completely clueless about where this stuff is. Right? What if at level 80 you could direct them to something that actually made sense? Yeah, 100%. I encountered the same thing, Pang.
So what if when you join like Twitter or some shit like that, what's the first thing that happens when you like join Twitter or YouTube? It asks you what kind of content you want and it gives you examples.
Yeah.
Could they not just put a menu where it's like, I want to do PvE, check mark. And when you click that, it takes you to another menu that says hard or easy or medium. And you check that. And then it says, well, hard, here are raids and strike missions. Medium, dungeons, fractals. Easy, open world, meta events. And it gives you like a brief 2-sentence explanation of what each one is. I guess the problem with that immediately is that you're making people click on stuff, and people they don't want to click through stuff. People just want to go do things. They don't want to click. I don't know. I don't know if that's a good big solution or not, Ted, but it's yeah, Big Nose Ted. Well, I feel like they could just do something. And the beautiful thing is that we're just 4 weirdos on a talk show that talk about the same thing every week. ArenaNet actually employs people to think about solutions and to come up with solutions and to implement solutions. But the glaring problem right now is that the random shit we've said in the past 15 minutes is effectively better than what's in the game because there's nothing in the game. Like, that's kind of not good. It's kind of not good that they just haven't done any of this or something better than that.
Yeah, I think, that's what, you need to have like these things that start you on the journey, like very early on. And look, guys, it has to be massive, by the way. Go and play other games. Like when you log into a new MMO, it like literally explodes with things that it wants you to click on and interact with. That's because if you don't, people are going to miss it. You almost have to force people to interact with it. Otherwise, they can't play the game. Otherwise, people are going to skip it. No one reads the dialogue. No one reads the tutorial, guys. Okay, this is actually a fact. No one does, right? Like, I seriously, like, I had a chat with a guy about PvP recently, and he said, I'm having a really tough time on my Necromancer winning PvP games. Okay, and I asked him, do you know what your abilities do? And he said no.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like, why do you think you're having problems then? You don't know what any of your moves do, and you're like, wow, I'm having a lot of trouble. You know what? Again, I'm not done with a little spice today. I want more. If literally everything scaled to the point where it could be soloable, how bad would that be? I think that would be catastrophic.
Honestly, it's not that bad. Here's what I think. I think that if it scaled, but it was still more difficult to do solo than with like a group. Does that make sense? Like, it would take you longer. Maybe not more difficult, but it would take you a little bit longer. So there's still some incentive to group up. I think DRMs are like that for the most part, right? If you get a bunch of your friends, you just whip through them, right? But if you go solo, maybe it takes you a little bit longer because some of the events you have to, drag all of the critters to you and whatever. So I mean, that's kind of okay, right? I don't know. I'm not 100% against it. I mean, I think that there should be heavy incentive to play together. We're playing an MMORPG. Like, come on, people. We're playing a inherently social game. I'd prefer that we didn't make it so that it was a single player game.
You know what's weird though? Most people do play MMORPGs as solo games.
I posted a tweet about this last night.
Yeah, most people do.
Did you see that? Did you see the tweet?
I didn't. I'm going to read it now.
I'll just link it in chat.
Yeah, link the tweet. Let's
Let
go.
me get the tweet.
Let's
Right
go.
now, I'm pondering how I'm even related to my grandma because she's sending me text that I feel like I just have to communicate this story. She just sent me a text message of a CPU heatsink.
Okay.
And said, "This was in my computer connected to a fan. Do I need this?" But it's not in the computer anymore. And I don't know.
How'd you get it?
How'd you get it out? What? What?
How did she
Oh
get
my
it out?
god. I don't know. Like, I don't even want to reply. I don't know what to do.
Take no responsibility. Evacuate. Destroy phone. It's the only way.
Okay, here's the tweet.
Okay,
It's this
probably the
famous
wrong number.
picture. It's this famous picture of this guy duct taped to the ceiling at a LAN party eating pizza. It says, imagine if gaming was still like it was from 2000 to 2010, when games were fun, and it was about having fun and doing crazy shit with your friends. Now it's being alone in your room, going into debt to look like a pro streamer, and playing bad games from companies that hate you. I wanted to integrate like talking to people in Discord on text chat, because that's what everyone does now. People hardly even use voice anymore. Even in raids, like, people don't use voice. People just type in chat and game. But like, the whole gaming experience it's just a single player experience now. Xbox is like, you don't talk with people on headsets anymore. Like in Guild Wars 2, like, there's not a community that people go into, like a single community, which is the whole problem that you were trying to resolve with Hardstuck, right? It's like it's a single player game with other people around. Bethesda was actually way ahead of their time with Fallout 76 because it was a single player game that just happened to have other people around.
I mean, yeah, okay. I understand that people play a lot of these games very solo, but they like the idea that other people are with them, or that they can like communicate and ask questions. Like, people usually like that, right? I'm extremely biased. I don't have a super good reason for this. I will acknowledge that. I'll acknowledge this might be a Garbo take, but I prefer that we don't instill more and more completely solo ventures in an MMORPG. Because when we do that, we take away from them being that massive multiplayer game, right? It's no longer as open as it once was. And so I don't know. It just saddens me a little bit. Like, I've met so many friends and stuff by engaging with the community, asking questions, and like, I still talk to people from 10 years ago that I met in Guild Wars 1 in my guild. And they're in my guild in Guild Wars 2, and we hang out on Discord. You will not achieve that if you never communicate with other players. Now, that said, not everyone wants to, and that's okay. But if we make it so that people basically have incentive to not play together, well, what is it, an MMO anymore? I don't know.
It's weird because I think Brazil's tweet here, is of course a little bit satirical, a little bit, a little bit sarcastic, but it's very true. I think it's a sign of the times. I think that people do really engage with things differently these days, and it is much more of a solo experience. You can really see this in the way that other games were. I mean, Guild Wars 1 was a very group-oriented experience, right? And do you not think that's probably one of the reasons why they're still around, right? In a way, like, because you actually interacted with people like a lot. In Guild Wars 2, it's the thing that you can see it in Guild Wars 2 so clearly. What communities survive the best, right, in the game? World versus world, easily is the most robust game mode. Not even close, by the way. It obliterates. Like, PvP is in the gutter, dying. Okay, like, raids are a giant meme, right? At this point. World versus World, the deadest game mode in terms of updates, right? The game mode that ArenaNet probably sometimes forget about, right? And maybe thought it was all a dream, right? has survived way better than the actual other endgame modes. How is that possible? Well, it's because it's the most social game mode. And it's the one that's most based around communities and most based around group play, right? It almost necessitates group play to an extent. And this is why I of course completely agree with you, Sneb. I think we should really avoid going for like the solo thing. But in a way, a lot of people kind of want it because you know what? The other game mode that even dominates poor old world versus world, yeah, it's open world, which is essentially solo, right? Again, I'm going to be deliberately provocative here. Again, you could replace every single player in open world with a bot and the gameplay experience would not change, right? Like that is just true, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like the new Matrix, right? It's good and everyone wants it.
Yeah. I like the thing is with this is obviously that's not quite true, right? Like, hey, the DPS would go up at least, but like you wouldn't be able to talk. Well, I mean, hey, the bots can even talk to you, I guess, but there's not really a lot of interaction that happens in open world, right? It is very much you do the content together, but it's very much ships passing in the night, right? There isn't really a lot going on there. The exception is like the more challenging encounters. Like it's why I love Triple Trouble, right? It's because you can really say, right, you guys need to do that. You guys got to do this. You got to do this, right? Blah, 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 blah. But there really isn't that in a lot of open world content, which I think is sad, and it's one of the reasons why I always I'm going to go around again. I'm a glutton for punishment. It's one of the reasons why I was talking about making everything a bit more instance could be like a good solution. Because you could have your pretty uninteractive public versions of these maps, but then you could actually have a much more challenging, engaging private version too, right? It almost allows you to have your cake and eat it too. Because you can have the solo content, but you also have this optional group content as well that you could then implement there. But, by allowing you to scale this up and make it more and make it force you to engage. Right, in a lot of these ways. Because the problem is, look, hey, here we go, round one again. Marionette. What was the problem with Marionette, right? Like,
they redid its ass.
Well, I mean, that's one thing.
People needed to communicate, and they had never had to do that before.
Yeah, and also if you fail, you lose, right? As well, right? Like, there's a fail state.
Yeah.
And this meant that the Marionette was not very popular, right? And it's the same thing with Triple Trouble. So, I look at these events and go, okay, I understand why ArenaNet doesn't make these, right? But I think they should, but they should just have an option for people who just in case, right? They should obviously be way more rewarding anyway, right? Like another problem with Marionette is that if you do the Marionette, and even if you win, which isn't completely guaranteed, your loot is pretty mediocre. It's actually it's good gold power, but only if you don't fail any of the rounds. Basically, if you can get it done pretty quickly first try, then it's good. However, you fail, you're really, really sad, to be honest. You got to go around again. It's not good. Same with Triple Trouble, right? Like Triple Trouble isn't really worth it in terms of like the amount of time and again potential failure investment that goes into that. The opportunity cost is pretty high. But I think the other thing is that people in a way aren't used to having to interact in this way, which is why it would be pretty good if you could make it a little bit more optional, or at least have it so you have both, so people can kind of get a flavor and then they can step up, right? They can go, oh yeah, I want to do Triple Trouble Worm, except every time you chop off one of the worm heads, 3 more worms spawn.
You know how to fix Marionette? That's actually a cool idea, though. And no, not the obvious troll answer of put its old ass back, although that would be really good. So here's fun. We have that like Clockwork Knight tonic, right?
Yes.
What if that was an armor set, and you could get like Marionette armor, like the Marionette high heels, and you could step on balls with it, and then after that, it's just a regular exotic set, and then you can like ascend it and make a colored version, like a red, green, or a blue, and you can role play as the marionettes that were in Lion's Arch. And also, we have the spinal blades that are the same colors. You could have this whole fucking like wardrobe that matches with old stuff. So there's reason whenever they do release season 1, you go back and play old Lion's Arch. You go back and play the Lion's Arch siege again. Easy. This is so good. And I want marionette boots.
I wanted to bring something up. One of the reasons why I think Triple Trouble is actually is pretty good.
Ooh.
Because essentially there's like 3 different events going on at once.
Mhm.
You can complete Triple Trouble, in a sense, by only just killing one boss, right? And you get lesser rewards, right, for only killing one head, right? Nobody really wants to do Triple Trouble if they're only killing one head, though, because they don't get the big chest or whatever. But the point is that if you have a big event like that has sort of multiple events within it that then create a tier of rewards, people are more likely to engage with that. Like, imagine you have like basically a scale of reward. Because right now we have like the bronze, silver, gold, but it doesn't mean anything at all, ever. So there's no reason to communicate with anybody because you're always going to get gold if you like show up to the party, right? So imagine if we had a system wherein you went and did these events, but your reward was completely based on, like, there's some kind of algorithm that was based on how fast the team completed it, but also your participation level. And so
leaderboards.
Suddenly people would be a little bit more engaged. But the problem is that's not exclusionary in any way, because no matter what, you're still going to be able to complete this sucker, right? Just your rewards depend on the group, and therefore you're forced to communicate. So what I'm saying is that group performance and individual performance would be a part of this, though group performance would probably be scaled much lower because it sucks doing 20% of the damage and then missing the thing by 3 seconds, you know? So you do something that is like, we are a team, we need to communicate, but also each individual is rewarded based on what they do, so that they're not like, you know, a brand new player isn't going to get completely flamed by their team, but they also realize that, you know, I'm getting less rewards because I'm not as impactful. But less rewards doesn't mean that it's not rewarding.
I think that second part might be a bridge too far. But the first part, 100% actually, yeah. I think it needs to happen. If you kill one wormhead, that should probably be the... Honestly, you should get more than the triple head reward that you do now, because even that you get 2 gold for being Triple Trouble and 5 champ bags.
Yeah,
so
rewards need an update.
At the time, it was probably kind of okay, right? But things have moved on, right? You know, it's not the same anymore. So yeah, that they should be up there. I actually love that idea. I think that's fantastic. The idea that you have a really hard event that even if you fail, it's worth it. But if you do really well, then it's amazing, right? Like that is pretty sick, right? That would be sick.
Yeah, like imagine if you had a system. I'll just use the PvP system. Imagine if you had bronze, silver, gold, platinum, legendary, right?
Ooh.
And maybe once you hit past gold, there are unique rewards, but you don't make like super exclusive rewards in legendary. Maybe you increase the drop rate just marginally, right? If you can hit legendary, so that there's some incentive for you to actually try to improve at these things, right? But that doesn't make it so that players are like hard punished. In fact, it's the opposite. It means that people are rewarded, right? Where this is like a positive affirmation, not a negative affirmation. You're not getting hard punished. You're not getting wiped or something. You don't get no rewards if you fail. You just get more rewards as you get better. Now, I don't think this is like I don't think this is going to breed like an insane amount of toxicity, because right now they're already moving towards having more private instances anyway. I know a lot of people that just do like private Dragonstorm because they know it'll take them way less time. Right?
It's difficult because I want to let Pang in on this, but I do think that it would create toxicity. But I think it will be worth it because again, this is the topic we talked about earlier, right? Is that ArenaNet would rather have no interaction than any negative interaction. And I think that this would massively create a lot of positive interactions with the community, with like mentoring and training and teaching and, you know, group coordination, stuff like that. It would absolutely create... Look, imagine... Okay, so let's imagine Triple Trouble, okay? So 1 wormhead gets you 4 gold, 2 wormheads gets you 8 gold, and 3 wormheads gets you 15 gold. That's completely spitballing here, right? Imagine if 2 of the worms do really well and they eliminate the wormhead, right? At the last second, Cobalt chokes, fails to do the work. They flail around wildly. They start flaming each other, right, in map chat, right? Everyone's spamming panic. Then everyone on that map has essentially lost 7 gold each, right? People are going to go berserk, right? Yeah.
It's kind of true. Yeah. It would actually be kind of funny, to be honest. Yeah. But okay, the reality is, yes, I retracted it. I'm just flat out wrong. People would probably be pretty toxic about it in public instances. Yeah. The reality is that I think if there was a way to make it so that, you know, you weren't super hard punished by group performance, but there was still like a little bit to encourage you to be like, people, we must work together.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer to this, right?
I think you bite the bullet. No, right? You bite the bullet. Dude, I think you just bite the bullet. You just say it's worth it. Because I do. I would say it's worth it.
Yeah.
I don't think
it is. I don't know. Like you don't want it so aggressive that when you go in there, like basically everybody's like they've been like warming up their fingers so that they can like hit the rotation good, and then you've got like some new person that's like, "Hi, I'm new here," and they're like, "You need to leave right now," right? Like you don't want that, right?
Have you seen an Octovine fail, Sneb?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You only see an Octovine fail.
Have you seen how toxic
there's not enough
gets?
people
Or
okay.
Briefing, have you seen an Octovine on a populated map fail?
Yes. So they can get pretty aggressive. People usually type like "lol" and then they like freak out and say that everyone in West or South has like one brain cell. Yes, I've seen that.
I've seen South one burn KYS before.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uninstall the game, log off, go play something else. Yeah.
It's unrelenting. Like it's not kind of aggressive, Sneb. It's like it's these people they're the people that would fight each other like over a laptop on Black Friday, like in a parking lot.
But the weird thing is that that's just not really justified because it's not like they're really losing that much. They're gonna get the kill anyway. Like I've almost never seen a map like completely fail, run out of time, right? I maybe have once, but it was like a late map and they didn't have enough people, right? I mean, unless people are like truly griefing, like you can recover from that most of the time. People are really overreacting when that stuff happens, but it is really annoying if people are actually griefing.
No, it's like, okay, so this was like 2 months ago. I wanted to do. This is my favorite thing to do in Guild Wars 2. It's not dungeons. It's not raids. It's not fractals. It's not ERP. My absolute favorite thing to do in Guild Wars 2 is to do Dragon Stand while I listen to The Cure's album Disintegration. I like to just put on that album and chill out and like thief shortbow auto attack every single event and just like space out and think about happy memories that I had with people that aren't in my life anymore. And guess what happened when we got to the blinding pods?
What?
Fail.
How did it fail?
My nostalgia about road trips, like the first time I banged anyone that wasn't a sock or my hand, like all that stuff, all of those happy feelings and thoughts, they're gone. And I'm just thinking about how we failed Dragon Stand at the end of 2021. Ruined.
I don't know where. I mean, where are we going? What are we talking about?
Map chat. Like you could have. It's the same stuff. Like map chat was toxic to a level that's like unbelievable. Like people are just fighting and yelling and screaming before it even happened. Before we even like got to the blinding pods, people were already fighting each other, and it's like, okay, this map's gonna fail. Like ironically thinking that while I'm in my peaceful Zen state, and then it did.
Yeah, look, I am gonna bite the bullet here. I don't even think that it's bad. Look, here's the reality. If you walked, let's say you like, this seems like a silly example, but just hear me out. Imagine you like walked into a university class and you're a student and you just like walk to the front and start dancing and everyone's like, "What are you doing?" Right? They're like like this is not what you're supposed to be doing to help this group environment succeed, right? Like you're supposed to go sit in the chair and you whip out your laptop and you take notes. And then when the test comes on Friday, you do the quiz and you do it to the best of your ability and you get a passing grade and you move on, right? Okay, such is the same in group events, right? If somebody comes in and they're just like totally inting, right? Like they're like purposefully, well, not even purposefully, they just don't know what's going on at all. And everyone starts to direct you and you don't listen, well, people, you kind of deserve like the security to get called and haul you out of the classroom. You know what I mean? Like if you're unwilling to listen to the group and like sort of go with what the group is saying to help you, right? As long as they're doing it respectfully. Like if somebody's absolutely flaming you and you want to revolt against them, well, I mean, it's almost justified if they're like belittling you like crazy, right? But the point is, like, you kind of need somebody to be sometimes a little bit direct with you to be able to understand that what you're doing is incorrect, right? So example is Marionette, when people are like, are you serious? Did you literally just die on that? Now we're gonna have to redo the whole thing. Like, yo, you gotta pick it up. Like you gotta get a better build or like something, right? They need to know that their individual involvement has an impact, and that if they improve it or change it in some minor way, that it will have a net gain for the entire group.
So how do we have our cake and eat it too? You make public and private instances.
Yeah, they're already doing that. Don't worry.
Like I said, it's like I fucking said. Look, I told you I was right earlier on, and now we confirm it like an hour later, right? Because you know what? If you want to have your sweaty tryhard and get those 3 worm heads down, private instance, and then away you go.
I think this all goes back to Sneb is toxic, right?
Yeah, which is actually a joke, by the way.
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah, no, like.
No, here's the thing.
Okay, no, but I'm kind of frustrated. This is actually like an important discussion, right? Like people, if you go in and you don't know what you're doing and people are trying to help you and you don't do it, there needs to be some kind of social punishment for that. Because you're all collectively doing something, right? Like, no, but it's important. Like, that's how you learn stuff. That's how you learn. If there's not, then what are you going to do?
Sneb. If they could cancel wooden potatoes with out of context screenshots, just think of what they're going to do with you in audio clips.
Sure, I don't care because this is like super relevant. Like this is actually super important because we experience this all the time. To add some more context to this, I have people that come into my raid groups all the time and they just don't know, but they're super jaded because people have treated them like garbage every time they've tried to ask questions and stuff. We need there to be a repercussion for not knowing, but we also need to not just flame people out completely, right? Example, I had somebody come in the other day. They were a warrior. They had the wrong build gear combination. They did 5k DPS at QTP. I whispered them and I said, are you okay? Like, what's going on? You're supposed to be power banners warrior. Your top damage is actually burning. What the heck's going on? And they said, this is the build I got from Snowcrows. Maybe I'm a bit rusty. And I said, well, you know, let's try to get to the bottom of this later. But like, I don't think you're quite ready for this because we've done a few polls now and I'm just seeing the same result over and over again. And I said, here's my Discord link. Let's figure this out after. So they left the group. We got a new one. We got it one poll after they came into the Discord, right? Yeah, I kicked them. I told them that I said, you're not ready for this. I'm going to kick you, but I want to help you after. Okay. And they said, all right. And they said, are you Sneb from TeaTime? And I said, yes. And then we went and they came into the Discord and we helped them. And they're super happy now because what they realized is they were using a Condi banners build with power gear and thief runes, right? Which is just a mistake. It's not like they're a horrible person or a horrible player. They just made a mistake, but that person would get absolutely flamed. They need some sort of social punishment or some consequence.
Hang on.
Not knowing that.
I'm stepping in as your PR guy. I am stepping in now as your PR guy. Right. The point is here.
Let's change the word, right?
Yes.
They need some kind of consequence to their actions.
No.
Right? There's nothing wrong with consequences. Consequences are both positive and negative, right? They're positive and negative.
Yeah, but people don't interpret language that way.
Well, I'm saying it right now. My definition here of consequence is both positive and negative. If you go in with the wrong build, there's going to be a consequence, right?
Yeah. If
Now,
you play the wrong
how
fucking
the
build in my group,
consequence
you will have consequences.
Yeah, how the consequence is delivered is really important for people, right? If you go into Dragon Stand and you have no idea what you're doing and you grief the run because you're not listening to the commander and the commander's trying to help you, and then suddenly people start to get frustrated with you, there's a reason that frustration exists, right? It's because you're not listening. Now, that said, I still don't think anybody should go KYS. I think that's highly inappropriate. But there always is going to be a consequence for knowing or not knowing something. And so the reality is we can go and pretend like that's never going to happen, but we may as well bite the bullet and be like, yeah, there's going to be social punishment. There's going to be consequences no matter what you do, right? People are going to get frustrated. But there's a net gain to be had by having split reward. People will learn the game better. People will enjoy the game. People will be more engaged with the actual events, right? Like that's what I'm getting at, that it's worth it, right? In life, it is worth it to have consequences, both good and bad, for all of your actions, because you learn and grow as a human being. That's what I'm trying to get at, right?
Can I
don't
add
want people
something
to
here?
dismiss this conversation as just, oh, LOL, Sneb thinks everyone should be punished. No, I'm saying that in life, you always will experience consequence. And in a game, protecting you from that means that you're never going to learn anything in the game. And maybe you don't want to. But if you're playing a team game, there's going to be some sort of competitive nature and some social consequence to you griefing the team. That's just how it is. Right? Like, what do you want? That's your playing a multiplayer game.
But look, you got to put this right. Okay, right. Okay, go Brazil. Go.
See, Sneb is about to learn something very interesting about consequences.
Oh no!
Because Zach right now is putting together a song that he's going to post on Reddit.
Oh my god!
That is literally just everything you said taken out of context, sounding like the most toxic player in the history of gaming.
Sure.
Is Zach in chat right now?
He probably is.
He is in chat. Zach, do it.
Look, I'm willing. So here's the thing. I am so passionate about this that I'm willing to accept the social consequences of saying these things.
Well,
I care about it enough to be like, look, people, you're going to face problems if you go in and don't listen to a commander that's trying to help you. You're going to have problems. It's like if you went to the gym and the employee was like, yo, you're actually supposed to clean the equipment. And you just like, you flipped them off and kept going. You're gonna face consequences.
Yeah, no, okay,
right? You're going to.
No. We can. The thing is, the point is that I think you can phrase it. And look, I actually agree with everything you're saying, Sneb. Like on a logical level, I know exactly what you mean, and you're right. But the thing is, you can phrase it from another angle that I think is going to be an easier pill to swallow. Right? I think if you say,
give me the better pill.
Okay, I would just say that you can say, you need to respect the other players, right?
Yeah, and if you don't, there are consequences.
No,
right? Both good and bad.
You don't have to talk about the consequences, right? Like
you have to. People don't know they exist. They forget, and they just go and do whatever anyway. Yeah, you have to remind people, like, look, if you don't wipe the bike down, buddy, you will be removed. Why do you think there are signs everywhere? Don't loiter. If you loiter, there will be consequences. Littering is protected by Exhibit A, B, C. If you litter, there will be consequences. You will face fines up to, if you download this movie illegally, you will.
Yeah, I feel like you're focusing on the stick there, whereas you shouldn't be focusing on the stick. Like this, you're saying that, be this way, or you're gonna get beaten to death, right? Okay, like I'm gonna flame you, right?
No, it's not as dramatic as you're making it, right? Like, no. Oftentimes the consequences are just like.
Well,
that's like people are frustrated with
this.
Is
what I mean.
The thing
right?
fails.
I agree with you, but the thing is that you're using that word in a way. You're using stuff like social consequence and social punishment in ways that people don't use that. Like the way you're defining it in that sentence is not the way people are going to interpret that. When people hear social consequence, social punishment,
if I define it,
No, no,
God, I
no,
defined
dude,
it
no,
for the
no,
group, though.
no, wrong. No, you cannot expect people to engage with you with logic. Okay?
Okay,
Right?
I mean-
No, hang on. No. Here's the thing. Here's the deal. You cannot expect people to disregard how they perceive language just because you're defining it differently and you're using it in a very cold context, right?
Oh,
Because
come on.
no,
The-
you know this.
the
You
academic
absolutely you know this. Dude, you're in
at the
marketing.
beginning,
You definitely know
define-
this.
No. Yeah, I understand. But it's at
Yeah.
the beginning, you define what you mean and say, when I say this, I mean this. And then you use it. It should be accepted that the way that you're using it is the way that you just expressed. If people are unwilling to take that, then there's really not much I can do here, right? I'm saying, hey, I'm defining these things as this. And when I say this, I mean this. Therefore, this, right? I could just use different words. I
Yes,
just don't know
but
what
the-
better
like-
words are to use, right? Punishment has a
Yes,
range, obviously.
Of course. Yeah,
Some
yeah,
of
but the thing
that's
is
frustration, some
look,
of that's
when people hear the word punishment, what do you think? What kind of image does that like
well, yeah,
conjure up?
it's a negative
it-
word immediately, right? But
Yeah,
it's a negative thing. Like
Yeah.
what else do you want me to say? There's no other way to express this other than it's a negative experience when you undergo consequences of that kind, right? When there's social punishment, that's a negative consequence.
Well, yeah, you're
I'm
gonna need
expressing
these
terms in ways that make sense because otherwise it's fluffy and meaningless. If I went and I said, "Oh yeah, all players need to just respect each other." Okay, well, what does that mean? I'm not getting to the point, right?
Of course, it's obvious.
You're just
Guys,
diluting
look,
this to the point where it doesn't mean anything.
No, that's that's the problem. You've done that. It's not specific enough. Like if you say punishment, and if you're defining punishment as something that could be incredibly minor, but that's not the way people interpret that word. I know
didn't,
exactly.
though. I said it was a range, and I
Yeah,
expressed
exactly.
it in 2 different ways.
No. The thing is, you can't do that, right? The way people are going to interpret that is not the same thing. Words have connotations. Words have intrinsic attachment to them that people are not. No, they absolutely do. They absolutely do, and you agree with that.
No, but the problem is that you're not listening to the whole conversation. If people want to take me out of context, I can't stop that, right?
No, that's not the point. It doesn't matter because people are not going to engage with that, right? Like language is really important and communication is really important.
I defined them.
No, okay, all right. Okay, right. No, Guild Wars 2 example. No, irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. Okay, so the word raid in Guild Wars 2. Do you think that word has a connotation that will drive people away from it, even though it's a very different experience in this game compared to another game?
Yes, right?
We did it. In other words, even if the definition is changed, it doesn't matter because people have a thing in their brain that activates when they see a word or a concept.
And I can't stop that, right? Like I when I say that there's a social punishment involved with griefing a run or with not listening to a commander, it just exists, right? And people experience that all the time. It's just a negative thing that happens in game. It happens right now. I'm just stating that it happens.
Dude,
right? Like and what I'm saying is that in some ways that motivates people to get better.
I'm just trying. I'm desperately trying to stop you from like going into like fucking PR hell, dude. Yes, because Sneb is correct. Okay, of course he's correct. It's obvious that he's correct. Like, okay, well I have to do this right. Okay, I'm actually going to complete tangent into real life now, guys. Team, right? I have got some really bad fucking news for you. Okay. Look outside. Look at the way people interact with social media. Look at the way people interact with YouTube videos. Look at the way people interact with politics, right? If you have eyes, you will immediately notice that people are not really interacting a lot of the time with the actual logical argument. They interact with rhetoric and they interact with optics. This This is not some theoretical thing. This
I'm
is
aware of all.
how it is. Well, this is what I'm saying, right? This is why you have to be careful with this stuff, because if you want to get your point across and not like meme yourself into oblivion, listen, like, dude, Sneb, you're like I'm gonna jump off this cliff, like me, Brazil, and Pang are trying to like drag you away from the edge, right? Okay, and
this is
like,
extremely pedantic.
No,
Nobody's listened to my full argument.
No. The
And
point
I
is
defined
that
everything I said in my argument. So if people want to take that in a negative connotation, they can, and I accept that. There's nothing I can do to explain that concept in a better way. Okay, can we end this after I like just give my final piece, and then we can just move on?
It's time. It's time to go.
Well, I'm just gonna give my final piece here. This is why I'm frustrated, because I used those words very specifically, and I defined them as such so that they would make sense in the context that I'm explaining it. Because otherwise, yes, I 100% agree. The problem is that I can't think of another way to express what I've expressed with lighter, softer words that won't make the same that will make the same point. So this is what I meant, to be very clear. And if this was at all vague or misunderstood, I'm willing to bite the bullet and have situations where people are frustrated with each other and there's some light contention. I don't think that should ever go overboard. There's never a time where somebody deserves to be belittled, harassed, etc. But in some ways, some contention, like, what the heck, man? Why aren't you doing this? Like, you need to do this. Oh, I don't have the gear. Oh, well, this is how you get it, right? Like, I know that maybe living in like this perfect world, but some contention is good because it helps you learn. Going in a situation where you're way ill prepared and everyone is guiding you and you're not listening to it, and people being like, yo, you got to listen to us, otherwise we're going to fail this thing, right? The social punishment in this case is that people are frustrated with you because you're not doing the thing that they're trying to help you with, right? If you don't accept help and you don't listen to the people that are trying to help you, there is a consequence. And that consequence is that you might fail the event. People are going to be frustrated and it sucks. We saw that in the marionette, but you know what? People rose to the challenge, right? And so the consequence of having these consequences was that the marionette became easier over time as people learned, because people were like, what the heck are you doing? Guides came out. People were helping each other. There's good and evil here, and it's okay for there to be some social punishment or some consequences when people do things that are negative towards the group. Like my silly example of people trying to study in a class, and you go up in front and you start dancing and screaming at the top of your lungs. If people are going to tell you to stop, if you go sit down and conform and do what you're supposed to do, then everyone's gonna be like, fine, good, awesome. But if you go and you double down and make it so that it's actually like unlivable to be in the classroom, then you're gonna get kicked out, and that's a social consequence. Now, I don't think that those words necessarily are making me like, oh yeah, if you're playing bad, then you deserve to like be berated. That's not what I mean, right? I want to make that very clear. You do not ever deserve to be attacked personally or anything like that. But if you're doing something wrong that's against the group, there's sociology is a thing, right? People are going to ask you to conform, to do the thing that helps the group. And if you don't do that thing, then of course you're going to face some sort of social consequence. And that's okay. That's it.
There you go. That's a good place to wrap up. Someone did ask me like how I would put it positively and express the same message. I would just say that you need to respect other players, and you need to understand what they want out of a group, what they want out of doing a certain activity. And if your behavior is going to kind of contradict with that, or, you know, you're essentially like, you know, making the experience worse for other people, then yeah, people are probably not going to be very happy with you. And they might kick you, right? That's it. That's basically what I would say. That's kind of the same thing with that. Yeah, indeed, unforeseen social consequences, right? Yes, very nice. But yeah. Wait, are you guys kidding me? Wait, look.
Like,
okay,
another
another very quick disclaimer here, by the way, guys. I just want to really do this. Like, one of the reasons why I'm so comfortable arguing and getting into it with, say, Brazil. I've argued with Brazil a lot on stream, and arguing with Sneb a lot on stream, on TeaTime and otherwise, is because we actually like each other, right? Okay? You know, I don't mind getting into it with Sneb, and we can like fucking give each other a hard time.
Yeah,
because we like each other.
I'm not
right?
offended at all.
Yeah.
I'm just disappointed in the chat mostly.
Yeah, to be clear, Sneb, right? Like, I'm not saying that, you know, I think things are getting out of hand, right? What I'm saying is that, you know, the chat is getting the wrong end of the stick here. Well, like, we aren't like flaming each other, right? You know, like,
It's like,
you know what I mean? No, we're just arguing, right? We're arguing.
This is the content you all come here for. Press 1 in the chat if you actually agree.
What?
Like, come on,
you know what?
actually want me to get beat to death by Teapot and Brazil and Peng. Come on, that's what you all want. I know it, right?
You know what? I've got it. We're gonna have a drama arc. Sneb. Sneb gatekeeps raids. He gatekeeps raids. You cannot raid without joining his guild, and the only reason he gatekeeps raids and has a guild of raiders is so he can get clears on his alt accounts every week and send money to his main accounts.
Absolutely. Everybody knows this. Like, I have like 6 alts now, and it's so that everyone can carry me through all these statics that I've created. Yes. I just join all of them. It was my master plan, by the way. Create statics, train them all so that they're really good, get 38 alt accounts, 38 statics, and then they can 9-man carry every static weekly. Boom.
In whatever gear and whatever build he chooses to run on. Yeah. So if he wants to run with a rabid Snecro, then you all have to adjust to that.
Yeah.
Hit 1 in the chat to activate the WWE style rivalry between Sneb and Brazil on the NA raid scene. There we go. Right? And it activates, and they have actual drama, actual beef, and, you know, they come on TeaTime and flame each other every single week. Right? And it's like, I don't know, Sneb tries to build the statics, Brazil tries to destroy the statics, okay? It's a constant war.
I'm starting with my own.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
TeaTime will just be a weekly recap.
Yeah, I'm like all the drama.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna have to like go like take a walk after this. I've said the word social
hopefully not
so
in
much that I actually hate my own voice now. Can you believe it? All right.
Hopefully not in minus 55.
Yeah. Local man dies from frozen alive after taking walk on TeaTime.
Local man faces social consequences in the cold.
Oh no! But I think we can. Don't have. Okay, I'll do one more point as a kind of like a roundup here to at least pretend that I stayed on the actual intended topic for the TeaTime. So, do any of you guys have any big predictions for End of Dragons? And what's going to happen after? Like, after End of Dragons, what is going to happen, right? That was the original topic. Let's hit it hard, and let's wrap it up and get the hell out of here. Pang,
what I would actually like to see with the End of Dragons is actually a lot of stuff that they did in Kantha. Like if anyone has ever played Guild Wars Factions, you know, they introduced a lot of things, a lot of game modes, and a lot of like different things in the game, like, you know, alliance battles, cough cough, and also things like the survival mode dungeons. If anyone has played those, you know, that was introduced with Factions as well. So that would be nice to have. And also leaderboards, right? With that. Yeah. Leaderboards of how long you can survive with your team and all that other stuff. And also I would actually like to see 2 new raids come out. The Deep and also Urgo's Warren. You know, those are the only 2 12-man content in all of Guild Wars, actually. Yeah, I would actually love to see that come back.
I like,
you know, either through raids or strikes.
Okay.
Yeah, either through raids or strikes and like CMs and all that other stuff. But yeah, you know, there's they have a lot of content they can just like reuse from Guild Wars 1 that they can just bring back into EoD and make it very enjoyable, just like kind of like what they did with Doom in Path of Fire. You know, they just kind of like reused a lot of ideas from the Underworld. And there you go. They made a whole new raid wing, and hey, guess what? It's one of the most difficult ones. But yeah, that's what I would like to see
There you go.
in the Dragons post launch.
You know, I would ask Sneb what he thinks is going to happen, but I already know. Like, no wonder he wants this mentor system with like a social credit score, because he wants to know who he can socially punish, right? By like whoever's got the lowest score, they get publicly flogged, right? Now we know what's going.
Yeah. Okay. The horrible part is that's okay. Never mind. Okay. What I think is going to happen in End of Dragons is this. I think that it's going to come out late February or mid-February. It's not going to come out like at the beginning of February. It'll be like after the 15th. So mid to late February. Then I think that people are going to initially flame the game on Reddit because they are going to say that there are lots of bugs, and then everyone's going to be all pissed off for no reason, really. And then people are going to post memes about it. But in reality, it's going to be okay. Like, the story is going to be pretty solid. People are going to be happy with that. I have faith in the Strike CMs. I actually think that they could be pretty good. Depends on how they're implemented, especially since they're going to fix the reward system with strikes, which is nice. So I think that strikes will be actually a big part of endgame moving forward, and that they have a big opportunity there to get more people involved, because strikes are pretty friendly to jump into relative to other stuff. I then think that Steam's going to come out in like the summer, and that'll be a big boost to the player base. I think there's going to be some growing pains, like some big growing pains for the game. I think that it coming out on something like Steam, if they don't update their new player experience a little bit and do some of the things that maybe we've suggested here and other players have suggested on the forums and Reddit and whatever, that you're going to see a great deal of players very confused, right? Like, people will come in and there'll be a lot of desire for information that they can't find, or that it's difficult to find. So in summary, I think that game's going to come out. People are initially going to be like, Omega Lol 2 weeks of content or something, because people are always going to be like that on the Reddit or whatever. But in reality, I think it could be pretty good, especially with Strike CMs and stuff. And with the way that they've sort of introduced the new like instance versus non-instance stuff. I think that taking that and applying it to EoD on a bunch of different encounters will be a very positive thing for the game. So then I think people are going to enjoy it. Yeah, and Steam.
Boom. All right. Brazil, tell us how we're all wrong.
I honestly think that the expansion is going to launch just fine and be in good working order whenever it does launch. That there will be a solid amount of content. Like, if you're a hardcore player, you could probably finish it in like a week or two. If you're a casual player, like maybe a month or two. And I don't know at what point the Steam release happens, but I don't really care. But I think a decent amount of time after that, we get the World vs. World alliances. Maybe we get like a PvP balance and rework, and then the story comes out, and people have in strike CMs, of course, and then they add strike CMs, and then they just kind of like alternate working on each game mode a little bit. I don't think there are going to be any more raids, no dungeons, obviously. At this point, maybe even no fractals. But I think they'll do strike missions, maybe even maybe little instant content. I don't think they'll do DRMs, but maybe open world instance maps will be the new meta in addition to strike missions. Maybe that's what they do. But I think it's going to be, I don't think Reddit's going to be mad. I don't think, which is a big thing to say, I think Reddit will actually have an overall positive response to it. I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be good. I think the biggest problem will be new players coming into Queensdale and doing stuff in Ore and doing the Zaitan fight, and then the rest of the game being starkly different from that.
I think that's a fair criticism. Okay. I mean, look, if you want to listen to what I think is going to happen, guys, I honestly have no idea. Just go back like 1.5 hours and you'll probably hear it. Like, where I confused everyone with my bizarre description of open world maps, but they're instants the entire time. I mean, I think End Dragons is going to be very good. I think the real key stuff happens afterwards, though. I think DX11 alliances are really, really important. The balance patches are really, really important. Like, that's the stuff that's going to keep people going. Like, all the content that comes out, I really hope the maps are good. This is actually one thing I really hope for, is that we get quality meta events on every single map, more akin to Heart of Thorns than Path of Fire. I think that's where Path of Fire had a lot of difficulty in having that open world retention, was these things. I hope that they fix the new player experience and actually really work on bug fixing, balancing the game, and just like fixing the things that aren't looking so hot about that. If they can grind through all of that, then go into a new season of story, I think it's a good time, right? And Guild Wars 2 can do really well with a big focus on replayability that we've seen with strike missions, hopefully some instance world bosses and meta events, stuff like that. Maybe even some kind of dragon response mission style implementation of story missions that have their own reward structure attached to them. Like, make the entire game replayable. All of it's replayable. There's so much content that if you played it every day, it would take you more than 24 hours. Okay, that is the dream right there. That is the dream. And I think that's actually quite possible. I am really expecting to see a very different experience. I think that 2022 will unironically be a very exciting year for Guild Wars 2. It's not something that I've actually said before and had full confidence behind it, but with the new approach we've seen and the way the studio has grown throughout 2021, yeah, I think we're actually in serious business. Guild Wars 2 enjoyers rejoice. This might be our moment of redemption here, in fact. So yeah, there it is. Let's get some energy going. But I think it's about time to wrap things up here. Okay, and well, I have no idea what people are going to make of this podcast. I'm thinking out loud here, guys. Okay, if you've made it here, you've already listened to all of it, so let us know what you thought. But I have absolutely no idea how people are going to take this one. I don't know.
I think they'll like.
You tell us.
You know what?
They're going to love it.
Look,
they love the blood.
People
right?
love it when people get just absolutely beaten alive.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
This should just be a Twitch exclusive.
People watch MMA. You don't think they're gonna enjoy this?
All right. Yeah, that's a good point, Duva. This is intellectual semantic MMA. Okay, I like it. All right then. So yeah, I've got to say, Sneb, I am really worried about the social punishment we'll face for this podcast.
I accept any consequences that I will receive. Good or bad.
What about punishments?
Yeah,
you know what? I may receive a social punishment here, and you know what? I accept that consequence.
Okay, so let's wrap stuff up here. Okay, you know, okay, Pang, you're going first. Okay, you were just witness to like this massive debate. You were safe in the top right corner in this bloodbath in the bottom left. So tell us, who are you? What do you do? And do you blink twice if you want to leave?
No, I'm just joking. I actually blinked twice. No, I'm just joking. Yeah. No, but yeah. So I stream every day. Do everything in Guild Wars 2. I'm also planning on doing a new series of streams where I'm actually going to be doing some one-on-one trainings with people, like basically still in a raid environment, but like actually teaching people how to tank encounters, how to like do specific mechanics and all the other stuff. So yeah, that's gonna be one of the new things I'm gonna do, because unfortunately, whenever I go into raids, like everyone is always doing just one thing, and that's just ooga booga DPSing. So we gotta fix that before we even consider getting a new raid. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm still streaming every single day, although my schedule might change a little bit, but still, you can always find me on Twitch. There you go, easy.
Boom. There it is. Okay. Next up, you know what? I want to give Sneb the last word. He definitely deserves it after that 1v3 debate. So, Brazil, you're up. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm a photographer. I take pictures. I play Guild Wars 2. I stream Guild Wars 2 sometimes. If you want to check out what I do, check out some cool pictures, see some cool artwork. And I don't know, watch me do dungeons, because I do dungeons a lot on stream. You can find me everywhere, UWV_Preston. That was a really bad sales pitch. You should subscribe to me on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram. You should donate to me. You should literally come to my house and bring me cash in an envelope, and you should send me Bitcoins to my Bitcoin wallet. You should give me every cent possible and follow me everywhere you can, or you will receive social punishment.
Nice. Okay.
UWV_Preston.
Okay. And the final guest. I mean, he needs no introduction to this point. I'm not even going to try. There's nothing I could possibly do that could follow this. It's Sneb.
I just took the name Social Consequences in the game.
Oh no!
I just took it. And you know the funny thing is that it's a revenant. Yeah. I don't know. Anyway. My name is Sneb. Twitch.tv/SnebZor, Twitter.com/Sneb. I play the game and I do raids and I lead a guild where we help people on NA get into statics and we train them and make them great raiders. We provide a safe environment where people can actually ask questions. We have a lot of great mentors in our little Discord channel. So if you're interested in getting into raids, hit me up. Hit me up on Discord or ask in my Twitch chat. I stream about 3 days a week. Anyway, that's me. Yeah.
There you go.
Also, I'm about to get eviscerated on this YouTube video, so bring it on.
Oh, that's gonna be a good
So,
one. But
someone,
You can find my my tombstone at Beaten Alive.
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, Brazil. What's up?
someone just DM'd me on Discord. I'm not going to say who it is. They said 2 weeks ago he's mad about getting kicked for not conforming because of the ping KP thing. You didn't ping the KP, and now he's complaining about social consequences for raids.
There you go. That's an example of what we're gonna have. What we're gonna have to engage with. What the content that we have, Ed. That's the best part about
It's
the time,
happening.
guys. It's the best.
That's
part.
already going to be a YouTube comment.
We get
yeah.
content today with the argument, and we get it tomorrow when it goes on YouTube. It's like a double hit of juice, like dopamine, straight to the veins, right? Like, oh yes, double debate, double argument. I love to see it. But anyway, it's about time to wrap up. There will be an after show after this, so stick around, of course. But until then, and if you're on YouTube, thanks for watching this tea time. Really hope you enjoyed. Let us know what you think. Seriously, I think we actually discussed a lot of really important topics, and I know that we were kind of joking around with the topic earlier about the way we interact, the way we respect people, and indeed the way social consequences work. I think it's actually a very important topic, and it is worth discussing. So please let us know what you think, right? In the comments, right? We want to have the conversation, right? Like all of us will. I'll be in the comments. Sneb will be in the comments, right? Everyone's going to be in there. So yeah, please let us know your opinions on all the ideas we have today, right? We actively encourage you to disagree with us. We encourage you to have an actual conversation because it's fun and it's a fun skill to have there as well. But until next time, follow this stream, follow all the streams here. You can find all of the links in the YouTube video and of course, below the Twitch stream here as well, guys. So go check that out right now. Go check out these gamers. That's my social media link. I did the wrong command. That's the right command there for everyone here. Follow me on social media. Follow the stream. Subscribe to the stream. Come back and watch every single tea time ever. There's a whole bunch. If you don't like this one, I've got good news for you. There's like another 300 you can watch, and you can find at least one that you'll find enjoyable. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. And of course, thank you very much to my wonderful guests for stepping up and joining me. I will actually try and keep some tea times going in the new year. I want to do one about PvP. Maybe that will be next week. I don't know. Maybe then one about World versus World after that. Okay, we'll see what we can get going. We'll have a lot of fun conversations about the game in general. So that is all we have to do at this point. Thank you very much for watching. Check out all the links. Exclamation hosts in the chat. All the social medias, go check them out. Watch every single day. Watch everything. Subscribe everywhere. And indeed, Bitcoin, guys. Bitcoin. Send it all to Brazil. That's all I've got to say. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. In the mists. Got 'em.